Hello, hello, my friend darling. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Good morning, Ali, and all of you out there. Welcome. We are live for Find Your Voice number three. Well, three right here. And we're going to dice together to inspire positive change in the world. Ali, I'm so excited, and thank you for having me back to control. No, not control, but just to have some fun behind the microphone with this great event. And we've got a lineup 14 awesome speakers today. And you're thinking, now it is on the East Coast, actually Atlantic time, it's 10:10. And I thought, 10:10, why 10:10? Ali was born October 10th. So 10:10 is his lucky number, so it's going to be a lucky day for him. Nothing happens just by chance. And what do we mean by dicing it up? Well, first of all, is with us, we're going to hear from some great leaders in perspective about DICE. What does that mean? Diversity, inclusion, community, and of course, equality. And we've got to look at making some positive changes to the world. And we're going to do this together. So we're going to hear from these great leaders and change makers. And this is first starts locally, globally to inspire positive changes, first in our communities and the world in general. And we're going to go around the world today with all our speakers. So instead of asking why things are happening, well, this is why and what we do to change to make things happen. Now, when I first heard dice, and I don't know about you, but I think of, I'm not a cook, but you chopping, you're dicing things up. Or if you play Yahtzee, you throw the dice. Or of course, the dice, throw the dice in Vegas. But that's not what we're talking. It is dice in the community. Now, first of all, we're going to be with you for the next 3 hours. So you don't want to miss anything. We have back-to-back speakers. Each speaker is going to be speaking a little over 9 minutes. Now, if you're on a mobile device, that's okay. Take us with you, whether it's Saturday, maybe you're in your backyard, whatever you're doing. Take us with us, share us with friends, share this on your Facebook too. You can share this link so everybody can enjoy this live event. We've got some great topics. Everything from, well, here's an example, the philosophy of oneness, challenges I went through to be involved in the community, a reconciled community, genuine civility, the production business of humanity and civility. I get so excited my tongue gets twisted. Breaking barriers behind blindness, the relay race of life, the confidence reality revolution in me, leadership, the journey of self-discovery and self-mastery. How to create civility in homes of a nation, leaders towards DICE, emotional civility, communicating mastery and why it matters, diversity is a fact, and inclusion is a choice. Wow, we've got some awesome. And a lot of these speakers have a lot of things in common. First of all, some of them out of the 14 are doctors. Yes, so many awesome degrees as well. Now, one of the things is they all have in common is a lot of them are authors, many different books. A lot of them have won awesome awards throughout. Some of them have podcasts, TV shows. They are founders of many, many different programs. Even a lot have their own international days. That's so. They're all leaders in their communities and also throughout the world. They are change makers giving back to the community. Now, what will happen is as we go through is my friend Ali, who has put this together, will be introducing them as far as their names. I'll be highlighting some short bios. We won't have time for question and answers, but there certainly is a way to communicate with some of these great speakers if you'd like to follow up afterwards. If you got some questions, hey, put those in the comment section on the Facebook page, and we'll certainly look at passing them on. But just to make sure you can hear us, where are you joining us from today live in the world? Where are you joining us from live into world? I was listening to some training yesterday, and this reminded me of today. And someone said, hope means help one person every day. I thought, ooh, isn't that interesting? because we are dicing it here today. Definitely, definitely. So we've got many leaders, change makers, and make sure you take some notes because there's going to be some fantastic information, tips, experiences that everybody that's here. So don't forget, please share this on your Facebook page. We want to get this message out to as many people as possible. And it's so exciting. Allie, hey, I'm all ready to fly around the world. I love our plane that we get to travel with all these people you know. I love your friends. Allie, we can't hear you. You're saying some great words, man.
It's amazing to have all these amazing speaker, all those change maker from all over the world to paint the beautiful picture that we want to see with our beautiful color, with our uniqueness. So let's see what that beautiful canvas that we are painting together.
Oh, love that. What an awesome color we're painting today.
Just beautiful smiles, beautiful personality, beautiful leaders. Each one have a message, and that's what we want. The voices for change.
The voices for change, and such a diversity into the different cultures and backgrounds, but all in common, giving to the world and being change makers and want to make a difference in the positive. And that's so wonderful. And I love how you bring all these wonderful people together that we get to meet. I just can't wait to learn from more of them. I wish they each had more than 9 minutes and 33 seconds. No.
I agree.
Because they'll want to be able to do it. So don't forget, hey, share. And don't forget, if you're traveling or whatever you're doing, make sure you're listening. Portable devices. I don't care if you're listening on your phone. Take us with you. Maybe you're weeding your garden. Maybe you're getting ready to barbecue. You can still listen to this awesome information as well. And Allie, thank you. We're going to be kicking it off with you, first of all. Before I do the official introduction of speech, anything you want to add to it for this coming up this program? We're here for the next 3 hours.
I just would like to thank everyone for being part of this amazing summit. And the change start with me, start with you, start with us, and everyone have that chance to make that change. And that's what we are doing all together by sharing our voices to make that change happen.
Precisely. Everybody has awesome messages, and they need the platforms to be able to share them. And thank you for providing this platform for people to hear all these great messages as well. So we're going to kick it off, and why not? The organizer himself, Allie, I don't think that's even any better way to kick it off. Allie is, one of the cool things is, what you do and how you just step up and how you give to the community and all you're doing. And I thank you for that, because if it wasn't for you making your dreams come true, putting all this together, the efforts that go in behind the scenes, this would not be happening. So thank you, my friend, for that.
Thank you.
So Allie hangs out in kind of my neighborhood in Moncton and here in New Brunswick, Canada. Yeah, we're in Canada. We're beautiful East Coast. We call it the freezer and the heater. I mean, one day it's crazy. That's why we have diversity weather. But Allie's going to be talking today about diversity as a fact and inclusion as a choice. Now, he is a great speaker, host of a weekly Connect TV show. Awesome. I love this. Global peace leader. That's really what it's all about. And I love your motto in life: to live life fully, love openly, and be yourself. And your core values: family, connection, authority, integrity, right? Authenticity, respect. That's it. You're originally from Morocco. We're lucky to have you in Canada here since 2007. And I know you went through a lot of hardship yourself, with struggles, discrimination, depression, divorce, single dad, addiction, rejection. Through all that, you found your why in life, and you've been there. And I think it's so good that there are people struggling and you're sharing it. You have your clear message now, and you're ready to leave a legacy on the planet, which you're doing. God has called you to help him, and you want people to find their voices. And that's why you certainly created that. You are the connector. You're the organizer who organizes global. That's the important word. Global summits with speakers. Oh, Allie's got a podcast too. Allie, dose of inspiration everywhere. And recently, if you don't have it, you need to pick it up. His new book, Just a Cab Driver, Behind the Wheel of a Cab to the Wheel of the Microphone. I think it's so awesome. Ellie, you kick us off in the dice together.
Thank you very much, my friend, for the nice introduction, and thank you for being the MC for this. You are the energetic bunny. It's just like bring life to the summit, my friend. Every time, it's just like amazing the way you are. All right. Okay. Okay, let's settle in. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us today. Let's dice together to inspire a positive change through our voices and through our speeches. My speech title is Diversity is a Fact and Inclusion is the Choice. Either we want it or not, diversity is a fact, but that's not what we need to talk about. We need to talk about equity, because equity what we want, that what we want to achieve, because as long we have two human people in the room, it's diverse right there. But we want equity. We want people to be treated the way they are, because that's a core need. And when core need is shaken, it becomes threatened, and that put stress and put inflammation and put people in health trouble. So let's dice together to make or to inspire a positive change in the world through our voices, through our speeches. And imagine, like, when you are doing the same task and you are getting a crappy reward, how would you feel? I know, like you would say, diversity, all those corporate company, all those company or organizations said, we care about diversity. But that's not the word we want. We say, we choose equity. We choose inclusion because that's what we want. So if I'm doing, or we are doing the same task, and some of us get the reward and some get the crappy reward, the feeling I will be pissed off, 100%. And I will share with you like a little video after that. There was a study, a research was done on the monkey that they were doing the same task. And every time they do a trick, they will get a reward, the same reward. Every time they do the trick, they give a rock back to the person who's doing the experiment, they will give them cucumber. But on the second time, when the person is doing the experiment, he give one monkey a grape and give the other monkey cucumber. Even they are doing the same task, how you will react, and you will find out.
Getting grape and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task, and we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us, and that's what she does. And she gets a grape, and she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
How would you feel if you are doing the same job and you're getting a crappy reward? Definitely your reaction will be more than the monkey. So my talk is diversity is a fact, either we want it or not. Diversity is there. The way we feel, the way we act, the way we think, the way we look, because that's different. But inclusion, that's our goal. We want to be included. We want to feel respected. We want to feel the sense of belonging. When we have a sense of belonging, when we have that we matter, we can try. And when we try, we do magic and coming together. Because diversity is the potential. We all have something special, but we need to unleash the power of diversity. We need to unleash the talent in each one of us, because that's what makes inclusion good. So I will tell you to give you an example. For instance, if I tell you, all of you beautiful audience and speaker, you are invited for supper at my house. That's diversity. I'm inviting you all. But the way I treat you when you arrive to my home, that's what matters. Who is going to sit in the table with me? And who is going to be get the special treatment? That's what we need to focus on. The way we treat people, the way we make them feel, the way we listen to them, and the way we let them feel. That is what inclusion is all about. Is making them feel good, making them thrive, making them feel that belong, and especially the cultural diversity. The reason I'm dressed up like this, because what happened? It's a lot of people get judged because of the way they dress, the way their race is, where their religion is, and it's sad that what happened lately in Canada, in London, Ontario, people were killed because of their dress as Muslim. Labeled as Muslim, they were run over by a truck. Four innocent, amazing family was killed because of the way they were dressed. We need to change. And the change starts with us by raising our voice, by speaking up, by changing the narrative, because diversity is everywhere. God created us different, but we need to educate ourselves. We need to share our voices. We need to include, respect, understand, because inclusion is the way I listen to you. Inclusion is the way that I welcome you. Inclusion is the way I make you feel you are part of this. Diversity is being invited to a party, but inclusion being invited to dance. Right? Diversity is being invited to a team. Inclusion is being invited to play in the team. We need to change the narration. We need to change the way that diversity is not what we are looking for. We are looking for inclusion. We are looking for equity. We need to treat people based on their need. We need to give them the resources. We need to give them the access. We need to give them the tool so they can try, so they can get to do where they want to go. Diversity is a fact. Inclusion is the choice. Let's raise our voice. Let's act from the way we are. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Because inspiring a positive change in the world start with me, start with you, start with us as speaker, that they are sharing their story, sharing their voice, standing up for what is right. Because we need to change the narrative. We need to be able to educate. We need to be able to make people understand, accept us for who we are. Because hate and fear and ignorance start from lack of knowledge, lack of education, because we don't really get to know people, we don't get to understand them. And when we understand people, we really relate to them and accept them for who they are. We don't need to change people. We just need to accept them and work together, because we're everyone have something to bring to the table. So let's dice together to inspire a positive change. Thank you very much. And I'm looking to hear from this amazing speaker all here.
Oh, Ali, what a way fantastic to start us off. I love it. Be the change we want to see in the world. Stand up for what is right. Speak up. And that's so much. And how true. And you can invite me to your table for supper at any time. I just wanted to let you know that. So great job kicking us off. All right, let's move on. Hey, we've got the first doctor in the house. And this is going. Who is it, by the way, Allie? Who's this doctor that's going to kick us off?
Hello, hello. We have Dr. Sonia, all the way from Michigan, and Dr. Sonia doing some amazing stuff in the communication mastery, and she is starting to change in the world by importance of communication, and that's what we want. So please help me welcome Dr. Sonia Robinson, all the way from Michigan.
All the way from Michigan. Awesome. Hey, just a quick fact. She is the senior sales manager for Fortune 500 companies. Yes. And her efforts fundamentally shifts the organization policy procedures related to sales and business development. Co-author of Live Your Best Life, Walk by Faith. She is a recipient of iChange Nation's Women Add Value Awards. And of course, the Communications That Matters global initiative dedicated to educating, informing, and uniting people on different topics. And she started that conversation. And also, she has the first person International Day of Mastery Communications and Matters, April 17th. And she's been inducted to the World Book of Greatness, where her voice impacts the world, and many, many more other awards. Enough about that. I want to hear what she's going to be talking about. Dr. Sonia, communicating mastery and why it matters. Welcome and help kick us off.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching from around the world. Imagine a couple going out for dinner and the husband says, I'm in the mood for a ribeye. Get that, I'm in the mood for a ribeye. A ribeye is a cut of steak that is known for its marbling. It's one of the higher priced steaks. There are several types of ribeye, the regular ribeye and the cowboy ribeye. The cowboy ribeye is a bone-in ribeye, which is more expensive because it includes the bone and it is said to be more flavorful. Bottom line, the husband wants the ribeye. Now envision the couple entering the restaurant as the waiter hands them the menu. The husband says, I don't need the menu because I want the ribeye. I don't need you to go through all that with me. I already have my mind set and I'm going to get the 16-ounce ribeye. The waiter comes to the table and asks if they were interested in ordering drinks. The husband says, yes, I'll take the drinks. The waiter said, I'll put in a drink order and I'll be back to take your order. The husband then said, I already know what I want. The waiter said, let me bring the drinks back and then I'll be able to take your order. The waiter gets the drinks. The husband says, I want the 16-ounce ribeye. I want it cooked medium well. I want a baked potato with a salad and blue cheese dressing. The waiter said, no problem. The wife places her order. The couple went on to enjoy their meal. The next day, he's at working talking about the steakhouse he visited on Monday and the 16-ounce ribeye he ordered. He remarked, it was one of the best steaks I've ever had. His coworker asked him, well, where were you at? He replied, I was at the steakhouse down the street. The co-owner then asked, what did you get? He answered, I got the 16-ounce ribeye. The coworker asked, how much was that? He said $29. The coworker then asked him, do you know on Mondays that they have a special? The special is the cowboy ribeye for $32 and it's 22 ounces. He answered, no one ever told me that. The coworker then asked, did you ask what the special was? He said, no. The coworker then asked, did you let them explain to you what the special was? He said, no. The coworker replied, oh, well, the reason you didn't get the cowboy ribeye wasn't because it wasn't available, and it wasn't because they didn't tell you. It's because you had your mind made up already. Now, what I've learned about communication is most people show up to the meeting and they already want the ribeye. Thank you, Ali and Darlene, for extending me the opportunity to speak at the Find Your Voice Summit this morning. Now, this is what I know every single day, the way we interact with one another can have a lasting impact. The question we ask, the support we offer, and the relationships we build can make the difference as to whether people feel safe, if they feel heard, or if they feel included. But how do we make that happen? By communicating appropriately and making people feel heard. I want you to understand what helps people feel heard. You can hear what they say, but they don't feel heard. And let me break that down for you. Here's what I want you to do. I want everyone to stand up. If you're right-handed, I want you to put your right index finger up. If you're left-handed, I want you to put your left index finger up. I want you to point your finger straight up in the air, just like this. I want you to think about what it means to be heard, what it feels like to be heard, what it does for you when you are heard and listened to. What I want you to do with this finger when I say go, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. If you're right-handed, have your right index finger up. And if you're left-handed, have your left index finger up. When I say go, I want you to point to yourself. Don't point to anyone else. Who do I want you to point to? I want you to point to yourself. When I say what? When I say go, I want you to point to yourself. Now I'm going to count to 3 and you point to yourself. 1, 2, 3, go. But because I can't see you because of what's going on, I'm making the assumption that everyone pointed to their heart and nobody pointed to their head. So feeling heard doesn't come with the fact you can repeat what I said. Feeling heard comes from here. You experience the emotion of what I said. What happens is when you don't feel heard, it doesn't hurt your head, it hurts your heart. Now, on the first Sunday of every month, we have a women's ministry meeting for our upcoming events. I just happen to be over that particular ministry. We have this one lady that comes into the meeting every month with one thought on her mind. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be listened to today. So consequently, her mind is already made up. She repeats the same thing at every meeting when we all know that it's coming. The ticket needs to be in numerical order. Immediately, when it's her turn to speak, what happens? People became disengaged. They began to talk amongst themselves and talk over her. She left the meeting in tears one meeting. I thought something happened. Later, she spoke with the help administrator. The helps administrator asked me to ensure she could speak freely in the meetings. Well, what happened? She didn't feel heard. What it did to her, it hurt her heart. The key to effective communication lies in how you relate to a person. Relating to others involve acknowledging their emotional needs as well as business needs. Emotional needs are psychological or mental requirements that usually centers on basics of feelings, love, fear, anger, sorrow, anxiety, frustration, depression, all of which involves understanding, empathy, and support of one another. Now, these 3 strategies remind me of a popular childhood game called the three-legged race. The game is played as such. 2 people line up next to each other and they have their adjoining legs tied together. The goal is for the 2 people to work together and try to beat another team down an obstacle course. The end result is to see which team can work together harmoniously and successfully despite uncomfortable and unexpected roadblocks in their path to the finish line. The three-legged race relies on each person to communicate and work together, or else it would take them a long time to reach the finish line. It requires teamwork and each person to work calmly and stay focused on the goal. The same strategies are true in communicating. If you don't ask the right questions, it can take a long time to determine what is needed or wanted. Don't just want the ribeye, wait for the special. And lastly, having worked in corporate America for 40 plus years, I have seen many changes. One of the most noted changes that is currently taking place in the infusion of the millennial generation into the corporate space. Economic uncertainty and ever-increasing technology are 2 of the major factors that have shaped the millennial generations as they have come of age. Because of this influx in age, conversations are ongoing about how generalization differences will impact the organization. The millennial generations approaches work with different sets of personal and work values. They work to they want to be able to split their time between family, work, and other outside interests. Because of this, they approach their work and their life in a unique way. It is not uncommon for the older generation to stereotype millennials as self-involved, lazy, and lacking passion. It is not uncommon to hear the older generations use statements like, well, back in my day, or when we were growing up, as they express their discontent with millennials' mindset, drive, and determination. But Bryce, who was 22 years old, sat down to interview for a corporate position that he felt would suit him. One of the interviewers, her name was Betty, she was 57 years old, was eager to participate in the interview with 2 other individuals from HR. If hired, Betty would be Bryce's supervisor and he would fill the last open spot on her team. As Betty listened, she was surprised to hear Bryce ask about additional responsibilities since he preferred multitasking as opposed to focusing on a single task all day. However, her biggest shock came from a question that she directed to Bryce. Bryce, Betty said, how are you on the phone? He said, I am a master, he replied. He proceeded to turn around his iPhone and pointed out various folders that contained social media apps, search engines, travel. Let me grab a glass of water. He proceeded to turn around his iPhone and point out various folders that contained social media apps, search engines, travel apps, and more. He talked about how at times he would much rather use his phone since navigating on it was much easier than most common computers or laptops. Betty was caught off guard for a moment. She felt Bryce had no clue about the real world. However, in reality, she had little to no clue about his world. Millennials have grown up using computer technologies as well as mobile devices and apps and see it as a part of everyday life. They prefer instant gratification over delayed gratification and often want feedback right away. Bryce did get the job, however, it was a struggle for several months as the team got acclimated to his millennial mindset. The initial push was to get him up to speed as to the way the department worked. But he was able to share insight on how to not only make the department more millennial friendly, but also the corporate environment that way as well. After Betty was asked what she thought of Bryce, she said millennials are not different. Technology is. They have learned to use what is available to them to get the information that they need in a faster manner possible. As the world approaches new challenges, our success will depend on our willingness to have multidimensional conversations, even when they are uncomfortable. Readily available technology has shaped the new generation in a way that cannot be predicted. Furthermore, technology is getting less expensive and more available. Therefore, future generations will be even more connected than millennials are today. We will need conversations that lead to greater understanding. We will need conversations that uncover the future generation's expectations. We will need conversations aimed at bridging the gap between the widening age range of the workforce. And to sum it up, we will need conversations that matter. Be well, stay positive, people first. I am Dr. Sonia Robinson.
Guess I better unmute myself. All right. Listen, I just want to, I'm pointing at me over here. Sonia, wonderful. Awesome. Hey, all I want to do now is go out and have a barbecue steak. I am just saying. Right. That I remember doing a 3-legged race and how an important message help people feel they're heard, because inclusion, you are right, there's a lot of times that they are not, and how we relate to others. What a great message to start it off, and it is all about the heart. And thank you. We could just continue on, but you know what, I think we need to continue on the conversation with a couple other speakers, and I know that the next doctor is just going to be picking up where you left off. Thank you, and for kicking us off here. All right. Oh my goodness, Allie, I'm just so excited already. Oh my goodness. So where are we going next, Allie? Oh, Allie, yeah.
We are going all the way now from Michigan all the way to Washington to Dr. Sharon Anderson.
Oh, all right, we've got another one. Well, thank you. And Sharon, she's going to be talking about emotional civility. And it's just going to be picking up where the other one doctor left off. And you specialize in working with sole proprietors, small business, nonprofit, churches. You're an attorney, scholar, former law professor at Harvard and some other great universities as well, training programs in the area of emotional intelligence, which is so, and leadership, management, communication, listening for leaders. You've also been inducted to the World Book of Greatness. I love this. Special advisor to the Global Board Chair of OPAD, Ambassador of Peace for the United Peace Federation, and you have your Founders of Emotional Civility Day. All right. And I love the fact that you are a minister of gospel. So, emotional civility, take it. The virtual stage is yours.
Wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. I am Reverend Dr. Sharon Anderson, and it is truly an honor to be part of an outstanding group of thought leaders and invited to speak about an issue that our world is crying out to give attention to today, and that is civility. Civility is a concept that has caused much debate in our history, and its meaning has been left to wide interpretations, ultimately drawing lines in the sand between the best and the brightest global leaders. We know that civility has many definitions and interpretations, and I'm sure even throughout this conference, we're going to be hearing a number of definitions. because a number of people are going to be speaking about the issue of civility, because you cannot talk about diversity and inclusion and change and equity without talking about civility. Civility actually is the foundation for all of those issues. What is undisputed is that incivility is all around us. It's a global problem, a human problem, a moral problem. And if left unchecked, it may become so much part of our moral fabric that it can't be reversed. Because civility is a human issue and a moral issue, I think that everything that you hear during this conference actually will have its foundation in what I've termed emotional civility. So I'm sure all of you are asking, what is emotional civility? And you heard the wonderful speech by Dr. Sonia, and she was talking about how people receive and how people react to what you hear when you're communicating. Emotional civility is the root of authentic civility. And emotional civility requires us to dig deep to uncover anything that prevents us from reacting and acting with civility, from being and understanding diversity, and from including people and reaching towards equity. Authentic and lasting civility requires that we take self-inventory. And it is only through self-evaluation that we can effectively correct the course of deep-seated incivility that our world is experiencing. Because civility is a human issue, it's not an esoteric concept. Our individual emotions can be and really are a contributing barrier to collective worldwide civility. And in order for us to really begin to address issues of diversity and inclusion and change and equity, we have to first start with us. My new book, Emotional Civility, The New Standard for Global Success, introduces this emotional civility paradigm. And it discusses how to break down and prevent those individual emotional barriers that cause that barrier to true civil interaction. We all know that civility includes sharing our own beliefs. It includes sharing our own values with others, and it includes some type of engagement with an intent of sincere respect towards one another. I want to say that again. We know that civility includes sharing our own beliefs, sharing our own values with others through some type of engagement with the intent of severe and sincere respect towards one another. Emotional civility is the intentional awareness of one's emotion and the work required to ensure that your response is civil to negative impact or feedback. Emotional civility is distinct from emotional intelligence. I'm sure if you're watching this from around the world, you've heard of the concept of emotional intelligence. Well, I see emotional intelligence as vertical. Emotional intelligence is vertical, and it relates to how you process your own emotions and the output based on your emotions. Emotional civility is horizontal, and it addresses the impact of your response based on your own emotion and how you've processed your emotion. So emotional intelligence is vertical, and emotional civility is horizontal. How is what you're saying going to impact someone else? And are you processing your emotions appropriately to ensure that impact is civil, to ensure that you're operating in a diverse and inclusive environment, and that you are creating a diverse and inclusive environment? And oftentimes we don't act and consider diversity and inclusion in our interactions because of our own emotions. So practicing emotional civility requires thoughtful behavior, continuous refinement of our perceptions of what matters, not just to us, but what also matters to others. Emotional civility recognizes the ability to act with civility is deeply connected with our ability to understand our emotions. And it takes work to act with civility in the face of disappointment, grief, pain, and misunderstanding. Understanding our own feelings helps us to recognize how we are feeling in real time, and then gives us greater ability to have empathy and understanding for others. when we talk about diversity, when we talk about equity, when we talk about inclusion, we have to look at how someone else feels. Emotional civility is the work that it takes for us to understand how someone else feels and gives us the empathy in order to do that. Understanding our own personal feelings can help us to evaluate the things that trigger us emotionally, and therefore become more aware and in tune with how we can and possibly will react and feel in certain situations. Being open to taking the time to understand our own thoughts and our own emotions in these situations can lead to the self-recognition and the acceptance of how the same or similar situations may affect others, including those that may share a completely unique perspective. Emotional civility requires us to understand that we as human beings have different perspectives about what constitutes civil discourse and civil behavior, and reflects the emotional capacity to understand that everyone processes information differently. Emotional civility takes the time to understand and not dictate. Emotional civility is the recognition of the need to act with civility and the commitment to do so, even when circumstances may scream otherwise. Emotional is the foundation for civility for all. Emotional civility is the foundation for diversity. Emotional civility is the foundation for inclusion. Emotional civility is the foundation for change. Emotional civility recognizes that disparities exist, but intentionally looks to build bridges and promotes and facilitates communications that addresses the attitudes and consequences of that disparity, thus leading to harmonious change and sustainably civil society shared and enjoyed by all. There is a bridge that is built between individuals when they're communicating. We know that. And so when applying emotional civility, that bridge can be built with understanding, with tolerance, and the components of civility. However, we know in our society and in our world today, because of incivility, because of racism, that bridge can be obliterated. That harmonious bridge that we build when we communicate with someone else, that bridge can be obliterated with the issues that undermine true civility, racism, misogyny, privilege, inequality, inequity, all obliterate that bridge. And so the concept and the practice of civility cannot silence opinions and beliefs. It requires openness, but it also requires that emotional connection, not only with your own feelings, but the ability to understand and empathize with someone else so that bridge can be built and free communication can happen. In assessing the barriers to civility, it encourages us to work on our individual processing of information as we work to ensure that our responses are authentic and civil and promote positive and lasting change for all. As we know, and I'm sure that we're going to hear throughout this conference, there is a difference between equity and equality. And that difference must be considered in analyzing the impact of our responses. Equity and equality are the keys to civil response, and they are also significant barriers to true and authentic civility. It is only by addressing the root causes of incivility and unmasking or removing the band-aids that prevent us from harnessing and having transparent discussions that we could truly begin to address the barriers to civility and develop meaningful communications and solutions. Just as removing a Band-Aid from a scab can be a little painful, removing this Band-Aid from this area in our lives can also cause some discomfort. But as we progress through our discussions today in this conference over the next few hours, I'm sure that before we truly address what it means to be civil, we all will understand and leave this conference understanding that we have to reject all forms of prejudice, discrimination, including those based on race, gender identity, sexual orientation, privilege, or any other difference that have led to misunderstanding, hostility, and injustice worldwide. Without the ability to engage in difficult conversations, it is impossible to advance ideas, progress, or embrace free expression of thought and speech. It is the intertwining of humanity that requires an open mind in order to achieve civil discourse. Breaking the barriers of civility requires that we welcome diversity of thought and political beliefs. Breaking the barriers of civility requires that we use basic principles of positive conflict resolution. Breaking the barriers of civility requires that we treat one another with courtesy, mutual respect, and civility, even when we don't understand or agree. Breaking the barriers of civility requires that we have to be willing to listen. Breaking the barriers of civility requires that we have to move past our own biases. The barriers of unspoken and inherent biases must be broken for true civility to prevail. Not everyone will respond with civility to civility. But my goal in the paradigm of emotional civility and as a thought leader and civility scholar is to encourage us to encourage us all, to continue to use civility and make an effort to respond with civility, even in the face of the harshest circumstances. And that is the key to emotional civility. It's easy to act with civility when you're being treated with civility. The difficulty is to act with civility when you're not being treated with civility, and being able to process your emotions and be strong enough to understand and be reminded of the golden rule. Please be reminded to treat someone the way you want to be treated, even in the most harshest circumstances. We need to begin to think of civility as continual and non-negotiable. It is not something that we turn off and on. Commitment to do what is right must prevail in our society. Civil policies must be created, and we cannot simply offer lip service to those situations that require civility. We cannot use an old environment or an old paradigm for new policies. Differences in opinion will occur, but we must remember, this is really important, we must remember that diversity is not adversity. We must cry out for civility over uniformity, and all too often we understand the power and virtue of, or underestimate rather, the power and virtue of civility. Words matter. Words empower. Words create, and we must choose them wisely. Emotional civility requires that you intentionally understand and are conscious of the words and the effect that your words have on others. The more power you have and the more position you have, the more conscious you must be about their effect. Passionate emotions must be harnessed and channeled through good manners and etiquette to civilize any debate in our diverse society. Reckless and malicious expressions will lead to vilification and degradation of each other in our communities. Our interdependence is the rule and not the exception. It is essential for us to have sincere insight into each other, which should lead to sustainable civility, resulting in harmonious existence. So I challenge us all today, even after this conference, to continue to work hard and with intentionality, to be part of a community where everyone feels valued and respected. Together, globally, we are a community. And we are building on a long legacy of civility and responsibility. Together, we can break down the barriers that block us from living in a more civil nation and world. So I thank you to Ari. I thank you to Dr. Robinson. I thank you to all of my colleagues. I thank you to Darlene. Have a wonderful conference, and I look forward to engaging in the discussions over the next many years about emotional civility and how we can all be part of the solution.
Oh, bravo, bravo. You have chosen your words to impact others. Awesome, awesome. You know, we do process information so much differently. And I love how you said the world is calling out. And yes, everybody certainly deserves the respect and really self-inventory. That was another thing that I caught that was really interesting. You have such emotional passion about this particular topic and the impact you're going. Thank you for joining us today. I wish we had more time to listen even more. Thank you. All right. Oh my goodness. Ellie, where are we going next? I mean, this is just fantastic. They're just building up on one after another. And we're going to be having I believe our third doctor in the house already. Where are we going? Who's Who's got the virtual stage next?
Hello, hello, my friends. So we are going next, waiting for Dr. Beatty to come in. So the plane is just coming back to Canada, Toronto, actually, with Dr. Rebecca Harper.
Wow. Where did we just come from? Where?
Toronto, here in Canada.
Oh, in
Uh,
Toronto.
she's
Okay.
originally from Jamaica, but she's here in Canada. Let's bring Dr. Rebecca.
Okay, well, another doctor in the house. I love it. No one left behind. Betty, hey, congratulations. Thank you for your service. You graduated honors from the United States Army, which I think is awesome.
I'm
And
Dr. Rebecca Harper.
do I have the wrong one?
Sorry, Dr. Rebecca Beatty, she's not here yet. That's how we made the switch quick. So Dr. Beatty Speak is not here. So this is Dr. Rebecca Harper in Toronto, Canada.
All right, this is take two. See, this is live.
We're making it work, Darlene. We're making it work.
We're making it work. Well, let's find out about Rebecca. Betty, we'll talk to you later. Rebecca's going to be talking about how to create civility in the homes of our nation, and communication professional. I love it, right? Develop strategic national communication plans related to empowering families to achieve substantial development goals through agriculture, environment, poverty, youth at risk, special education, community development, social worker as well, specialized in the youth justice, right? Received many awards, pointed to the International Relations Secretary of Peace Society, and is maintain peace in the homes of the nation. I think that's so valuable. An ambassador to many organizations, founder of the National Family Civility Day, November 15th, and as many Facebook Lives. Rebecca, the virtual stage is yours. How to create civility in the homes of our nation. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Darlene and Ali, for having this summit. It's an amazing experience. And, moving to Canada just 2.5 years ago, not even officially 3 years, I come from a country where I'm actually the minority and, but yet I had privilege. So that balance between the two, and then coming to another country where there's now diversity, I had to learn so much because I fell between I'm actually, and rightfully so, a gray area because I'm born and bred and brought up as a Jamaican, which many people think, if you hear me speak on the phone, unless you see me, you think I'm black. My resume is black, everything about me. And then when you see me, I'm white. And it's like, okay, where do I fit? But let's go to the family. And you see, why I mention that experience is because my experience coming to Canada really opened my eyes to diversity and inclusion. And, it's such an amazing experience because when you want to learn from what you have in life. So God gives you so many different experiences, and a lot of times we feel bad about it. We have all this emotion, but yet we don't learn from it sometimes because we have so many emotional traumas building up throughout our lives. So with my experience coming from Jamaica and working umpteen years with families, I had a radio show for 8 years speaking all about parenting. I have a daughter with autism, a son with ADHD, 3 children with dyslexia. So all of that, and not having the resources back home to help me so I had to do it myself a lot of times, and a lot of times I had to advocate for my children. And I said, there's so many other children like mine in Jamaica that don't have that knowledge and that advocacy. So that's what I did, and that's where I carried forth. So family civility, as many people say, is 25 years in the making, because every time I worked in agriculture, every time I worked in biogas and all these other industries in communication, I ran the National Zoo back home, I always included how can we encourage the family. Coming to Canada and learning the acceptance of everybody here, like we accept people here. We try to give equality, but equity is so much more important, because going to my track and field as a Jamaican, yes, I'm going to go there. What is happening is nobody starts at the finish line, the same start line. So because we had the Usain Bolts who have had all the training and all the finance, or we had USA versus Jamaica, and Jamaica just started winning, because before we had USA just getting all the technology and the update and all the privileged support of an athlete, of a runner, and then Jamaica, we just had our champs and we didn't have that financial support and that all that technology and science behind our athletes. We just had raw talent. And without saying anything, when the playing field was now leveled, and it was like, okay, nobody can take any drugs, nobody can do this. And then the money started, the funding, thank you to Puma, started coming into Jamaica track and field. Then that equity started happening. Jamaica got that equity it needed, to that when they started that final 100-meter run, they were all at the same level. So what is family civility? Family civility is when we actually give equity and civility. It's shown to all families. As you see above my head, not one family is left behind, no matter their race, religion, sexuality, different abilities, biological connection, and formation. So we have to, let me explain that further. I'm a single parent and my child goes to school, and the teacher does not show civility to my child when she or he mentions to my child, oh, let your father help you with your homework. Not, automatically having that implicit bias that my child has two parents living with, or having that issue of not appreciating or not knowing about our different types of families. So here's where I'm going. We're very good with diversity and inclusion for race and people of races. But are we having the same mindset to different types of family? Because families have changed. The nuclear family is now a minority when you compare it to all the different types of families. And the nuclear family, let me just draw back, is mother, father, and children. Now we have multi-generational families, we have foster families, we have adopted families, we have same-sex families, we have families with LGBTQ2 spirited plus children who need, and in many countries we don't accept them. And when, it's so funny because I'll have parents come to me from countries outside of Canada saying, can you help my child who, he says he's gay? And I said, well, I'm not going to work with the child, I'm going to work with you, because you need to accept your child no matter who they are and love them, because they need that support and acceptance. So it's all this inclusion. That alone is equity, and creating equity in your own home. Because yes, my child has autism. I'm going to have to give her different tools to succeed in life than I would give my son who has ADHD, or my other son who just has dyslexia. We as parents have to give that equity. And this is where we go into how can we achieve family civility in the family? By loving, supporting, accepting each member's strength and identity, making it above birth order and cultural bias. Let me repeat that again. By loving, supporting, and accepting each member's strength and identity, and making it above birth order and identity, making it above birth order and cultural bias. And I'm going to stop a little because that's so important. I know I was the last child of my family, and there were cultural biases towards me because I was so different. Everything to do with family civility is about equity, civility, love. And then guess what? If we teach it within the home and we bring up our children with that confidence, then they'll bring it outside when they have to face the other implicit biases. That's when we move to how a family civility can be achieved as a nation. So what do we do at family civility? Another thing is base our work on the family civility approach, meaning we acknowledge that we have different families in the world, and we acknowledge their strengths and that they need equity, but they don't need to be felt bad about it. You don't need to say, well, I'm sorry your father's not around. There's so many studies saying the reason why our kids are in jail is because there's no father around. But when you look at the people saying those studies, those people put their fathers in jail. So look at the deflection there. You have so much support. So if you don't have a father in the home, find the equity solutions, the equitable solutions in order to let that child thrive, right? We don't say, oh, well, you don't have a father in the home, we need to get the father in home. If that's impossible, is that child just like a lost cause? No, it's not. We have the tools to help them, and that's what we need. So what do? Our social work needs to be a family-centered social work, not client-centered. You heard, family-centered, not client-centered. And we look at the strength-based approach and anti-oppressive practice towards the family, not just the individual. And strength-based, let's go into the family and find their strengths, find how they can work together, how they can live together. It's so exciting that once we help and give equity to the family, you automatically will give equity and love and support to a community and then to a nation. We don't start with the family. We blame the family. We point fingers at the family. We point fingers at the parents. But we don't realize that our structure, our country structure, does not cater to all families. Divorce is a punishment. Instead of saying, hey, let's come together. We know mommy and daddy have to separate because they're not getting along. But how can we work together to make the positive solutions to this? Not, well, you need to work it out because the children cannot live without two parents. Again, is that saying once there's not two parents in the house, it's a lost cause? No, it's not. Family civility is when equity and civility is shown to all family types. We have to look at the family. Then we have to look at the secondary, the school and work. We have to heal before helping. And this goes beyond that. We have so much. There is a national call of so many people that we have a call for healing. There's no call for healing first. We're just automatically running to helping. But we need to heal before we can help. So, saying that, I want to challenge you as a citizen of your country to help your nation to achieving family civility. Because strong families create strong nations. And here are the main elements that a nation should achieve to reach the optimum level of family civility. One, the nation should establish a national plan that teaches everyone what a new family is like and empower all families. What is a family? A family is a primary group that loves, supports, and is civil to each other. Create inclusive laws that empower the family, ensure civility is enforced. Laws that reduce inequality, protect gender equality, and put family and civility first. For example, divorce and separation. Empower the family to protect their environment, to create zero hunger and to have access to good physical and mental health. Empower families to create opportunities and events for their children in every community, and appreciate and celebrate all families and their differences, and be proactive with the future generation while having a reactive plan with the present generations that heal, then help approach. And then, of course, create those parent partnerships with teachers and all other organizational support so that we have that equity for all family types. Create family inclusive communities and cities by establishing accessible and inclusive recreational areas, and fund projects that are aligned with the same messaging and must target assisting families to be self-sufficient financially and emotionally in health and in education. Self-sufficient. Empower them, not make them dependent on your charity. Thank you so much, and I hope that not one family is left behind, And we have diversity, inclusion, which creates equity for our families in all over the world.
Oh, Rebecca, bravo, bravo. The passion for the families is so evident. You know, we were so lucky in the world to have you standing up and making an impact on the families. You know, healing before health. I love that.
Yeah.
And focusing on the strength and having, accepting, supporting each member. And a family, the definition is, has many different
Yeah.
varieties in life in particular. And so, you know, the family is the center. And I love where you focus on the strengths in the family, not what's missing from the family. And so, some great work that you have stepped up and continue to do. Thank you for sharing. Hey, I love it. Not one family's left behind. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for this amazing. And thank you to all those who are watching.
Oh my goodness, we could. It's hard to end each speaker. I'm saying because they got some great stuff. The impact that's happening. Allie, we need to. Where are we flying to now? I love our international plane that we just hop on.
We are this time going to with Dr. Asel all the way to South America to Guyana. So before we do that, let's just play this video for a second. Then we will go get our brother. Hello, hello, Dr. Asel Colin, brother. How are you doing?
Morning, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us.
All right, thank you. And I love that video where you got the different colors and you have. Hey, I love all the doctors in the house because we're going to be talking about leadership, the journey of self-discovery and self-mastery. And you are a youth ambassador, which I think is awesome. You and Goodwill Ambassador, global representative for the Golden Rule International Interfaith Peace Building for the Caribbean states and its territories. Wow, the work that you're doing, you've been appointed to many representatives for the government, right? Special privilege awards, United Nations, Golden Rule International Award, many others. There's just too many to mention. And of course, the Leadership Award at Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., founder of the I-Chain Nation, and I could just go on, but you know what? I want to hear from you. Let's learn about the leadership, the journey, self-discovery to self-mastery. Doctor, this virtual stage is yours.
Thank you for having me again. Um, I always like to give homage and honor to my mentor who passed, Dr. Miles Monroe, and it was him who said, I do not want my name on a building because a hurricane, a terrorist act, or an earthquake can wipe it out. I want people to remember my name by the continuing leadership of those I mentored. And it was his definition of leadership that really captivated my interest in leadership. And it was leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by a vision, and produced by a conviction, and ignited by purpose. You cannot even assume the responsibility of a leader unless and first you discover what is your purpose. But the leadership tools inventory, one should always ask themselves is, can I inspire people? Do I know my purpose? What is my passion? How do I show conviction? Do I have integrity? Am I trustworthy? Do I take risk and welcome the unknown? Am I willing to work on my weaknesses? It was Alvin Toffler who said the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Again, Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. So this journey of self-discovery to self-mastery, and the fundamental questions that are asked is, who am I? Why am I here? And what is the destiny that made me necessary? Simplified is, do you see me? Do you hear me? And do I matter? So I caution usually the audience to be careful who you pretend to be, for you might forget who you are. And I think we are afraid of our greatness because we simply do not or cannot comprehend what the divine has invested in us to give to this universe, give to our time and our generation. It was said that we can actually be generational thieves if we do not give to our time that which was deposited within us. And and so it is that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are more powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I? To be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people wouldn't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to be the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. It was in Matthew 6:26 that says, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow nor reap nor store away in barns, but yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" And this is a question of value. Both success and failures are predictable because they are subject to law, like a bird, like a plane that mimics a bird's flight. The plane is grounded by the law of gravity, but once that craft hits a speed, there's a new law that is activated, the law of aerodynamics or the law of lift. The law of gravity does not disappear, it is conquered. And so in order to become successful, don't seek success, but become a person of value. So just like the diamond and the pebble, if I'm to ask anyone, what is the difference between a diamond and a pebble? It is that the diamond is more valuable simply because it is rare. And how we advance our value is to literally expose to the world our unique selves. And just like a pearl that is formed in an oyster, it actually is a response. That's why your response determines your value. The clam actually is responding to irritation, and that calcification over time produces the value of the pearl. So there, I want to now introduce to you a poem that I think is one of my favorites, and it is in the silence of my mind. In the silence of my mind, my perception is my reality, so life can be whatever I desire it to be. In the silence of my mind, when fright fills my eyes with tears, I can search my soul to see if there are any reasons for my fears. In the silence of my mind, I am protected from the dangers of sin and sheltered from the storm of trials and its thunderous winds. In the silence of my mind, I'm relieved from pain. And even in the valleys of my situation, I can smile without shame. In the silence of my mind, my predestined path is revealed, and my shortcomings and scars are forgiven and healed. In the silence of my mind, there's restitution and the tolerance that encourages perfection. So when depressed and there's no help of any kind, don't stress. Just retreat to the silence of your mind. So I ask you again, who are you? Are you distinct, focused, purpose-driven, an agent of change, fiercely becoming the change you seek? Or are you just another number, another statistic, a part of the crowd, an ambassador of mediocrity? Do you consider yourself a victim? So life will always ask you, who are you? And that is really the leadership question. Who am I? I want to preface a story about a lion who was raised by a flock of sheep. He was trained to think like a sheep, speak like a sheep, and unfortunately act like a sheep. So one day as he grew, the flock went to a pond. And at the pond, over on the other side, they saw a real authentic lion. And thus you have the concept of authentic leadership. This lion, who thought he was a sheep, behaved like a sheep, and spoke like a sheep, thought he was a sheep. And he saw a real lion. Instinctively, the lambs ran, including the lion. And the authentic lion approached him and says, "Do you know who you are?" And his response was that he could not even speak like a lion. And it reminds me of the story of Simba, who, when lost his father and was chased out, he tied himself to Timon and Pumbaa, who taught him irresponsibility in the form of Hakuna Matata. But when he met Rafiki, Rafiki says, "I know who you are. You are Mufasa's boy." And immediately Simba said, "I'm sorry to tell you, but my father is dead." Rafiki corrected him and says, "No, he lives. Follow me, I'll show you the way." And he brought him before a pond. When Simba looked, Simba said, "That is not my father. It's only my reflection." And most of us, when we are asked to look at our lives, we said, "I am only a teacher. I am only," and we give ourselves labels. And the labels can sometimes limit us. So what Rafiki told Simba, is what I want to tell you is to look harder. And then he saw miraculously his father, who says, remember who you are. You have forgotten me. And he says, no, I could never. He said, but you have forgotten who you are, and thus you have forgotten me. So the concept of understanding who you are and taking the time to understand and uncover your tags, your talents, abilities, gifts, and strengths helps you to better discover and develop your value. It was Frantz Fanon, who's an idealist, that says sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong, and when they are presented with evidence that work against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it is so important to protect that core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit with that belief. So most of us avoid unpleasant truths and rush to comforting lies. Most of us avoid the inconvenient truth and go to the reassuring lie. So when the lion asked the other lion who believed he was a sheep, he says, follow me and I will help you discover who you are. That's why I speak on the power of mentorship. Because as much as we learn, we need mentors, people who will actually guide and take us through the vicissitudes of what we're trying, whichever field we're trying to be disciplined or master. And the lion says, but why should I follow you? His response was, he who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Shun him. He who knows not and knows that he knows not is a child. Teach him. He who knows and knows not that he knows is asleep. Wake him. But he who knows and knows that he knows is a wise man, and you should follow him. But there needs to be a shift in our consciousness. Most times we are in circumstances and situations that we have no power to change. But I admonish you to change the way you look at it when you cannot change the it you're looking at. It's like, for example, a bird in a cage, but the cage door is open. And most of us are like that bird. Even though the cage door is open, we remain inside of the cage. So we are conditioned to think we cannot go beyond the limitations that life has placed around us. For example, an elephant, when he is young, they tie a chain around his hind legs. And no matter how much he pulls, it doesn't budge. So he is being conditioned that this resistance I cannot overcome. So even as a fully grown elephant, they merely have to put a stick in the earth. And the minute the elephant feels any form of resistance, his mental conditioning triggers a response that says, I give up. I cannot overcome this. And even with fleas, if you put a flea in a 3-inch jar, if the flea can, I think, jump 6 inches vertically, but if you put it in 3 inches, he trains himself by limiting his capacity to accommodate the jar. And most of us, life has trained us to accommodate the limitations, especially of other people's opinions. But the thing is, when I brought in the story of Simba, is that the lion cancels our excuse for becoming who we are and becoming leaders. The lion is not the tallest animal. The lion is not the strongest animal. The lion is not the largest animal. He's not even the smartest animal, but he's the leader because of his attitude. And attitude is a product of our belief. You cannot have an attitude beyond your belief. You see, all birds find shelter during the rain, but the eagle avoids the rain by flying above the clouds. Problems are common, but attitude makes a difference. So the lion is king because of what he thinks about himself. Nothing can substitute for the right attitude. What is the right attitude? Your perception of who you are, why you think you exist, and your sense of significance. Your mentality must match your ability for you to manifest leadership. But leaders lead others to leadership. Trapped within every follower is a hidden lead, and hiding in every log is a masterpiece. So I entreat you to release yourself from the boundaries of other people's opinions. You are magnificent. There was a golden egg amongst some regular white eggs. And the thing is that they laugh at me because I'm different. But if you understand your value and who you are, you can say, I laugh at them because they're all the same. So it is okay to be different, but you need courage to be you. Courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you cannot practice any other virtue consistently. But the opposite of courage is not fear. It's rather conformity. One of the greatest challenges in life is to be yourself in a world that is trying to make you like everyone else. Never change your originality for the sake of others, because no one can play your role better than you. You are the best, so be yourself. But we've become walking contradictions. We love to portray, especially in social media, that all is well, but there's a gap between our self-brand and reality. So most of us sometimes crumble under the weight of the image that we have projected or created. So, but you can be pitiful or powerful. You just can't be both. So I hope that in understanding who you are, you do not become a trapped king and your potential unrealized. It's like a lion living in a cage. And sometimes we are lions in cage and we want to remain in the cage because the food is free. Just like a razor blade is sharp as much as an axe. A razor blade can't cut a tree, nor does an axe cut hair. So everyone is important according to their unique purpose. So you have to understand your life's purpose. The six ethics of life is: before you pray, believe; before you speak, listen; before you spend, earn; and before you write, think; before you quit, try; before you die, live. It was Nicki Minaj who says, not everybody lives, but everybody dies. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose. So, in understanding what leadership really is, leadership is not about being served. Because if serving is below you, then leadership is beyond you. And everything rises and falls on leadership. A group of lions led by a sheep will always be defeated by a group of sheep led by a lion. So, ideas, ideologies, philosophies, laws, there's nothing more powerful than an idea. Hence the idea of leadership. For an idea is even more powerful than that. The world is still ruled by the idea, by the Greeks through the idea of democracy. Moreover, capitalism, communism, and even terrorism are all ideas. Hence, the world's problems are ideological. So, in order to challenge an idea, you have to oppose it with another idea. A bullet cannot kill an idea. We killed Osama bin Laden, but the idea of terrorism persists. So one has to ask, whose ideas are governing your life? And when we allow others to define us, we literally place ourselves under their feet. You know, growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong. And it's only when you discover who you are can you liberate yourself from the imprisonment of mediocrity. So become yourself and defeat regrets. If I was in an audience, I would have asked you to say, if it is going to be, it is up to me. If it is going to be, it is up to me. Know that you are an answer to a question God knew they will ask in your generation. You are literally a walking treasure chest. And my mentor had said that the richest spot on earth is not the diamond mines or the gold fields or even the oil that Guyana has just discovered. The richest spot on earth is the graveyard, because most people live below their potential. Most people live not understanding or releasing their. I encourage you not to die old, but die empty. Give to your life, give to your generation all that God has deposited within you. And it was Dr. Carter Woodson who says, in the miseducation of the Negro, if you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you don't have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you make a man feel that he's inferior, you don't have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you make a man think that he's justly an outcast, you don't have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there's no back door, his very nature will demand one. And in closing, it was Mother Teresa who posited that the biggest disease today is not leprosy or tuberculosis, but a feeling of being unwanted. There is more hunger in the world for love and appreciation than for bread. We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. We must start in our own homes to remedy this kind of poverty. So, Terence, who was a famous playwright, he says in Latin, I am a human being. Umo sum humani il me alien puto. I am a human being, and nothing human can be alien to me. As teachers, the best teachers are those who show you where to look, but they don't tell you what to see. All I have done is to help you to understand that we must look within. You see, vision is everything. Live beyond your eyes. Eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. And I hope with this platform that we help people to understand that if you cannot see the ultimate, you become a prisoner of the immediate. I know my time is up, but thank you for the platform. Thank you for the opportunity. And I really applaud Mr. Ali for what he has done. And thank you for giving Guyana this platform as well.
Well, thank you and bravo. And we are so honored to have you at the heads of for leadership, because your leadership, the world needs so much. It's important. What is your life purpose? And some people do not find that, right? Inspire. And I love what you said, right? Do you see me? Do we hear me? Right? Because so many times that happens. And I love playing small is a disservice to the world, right? Develop our values. That's what you need. You're certainly developing your values and helping use that, your leadership in helping so many other people. And you're certainly help people shine their light. And there's so much darkness that we need more light on. So continue your great work. I wish we had more time. God bless you
Yes.
in your leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Oh my goodness. They're all adding to the dice, the diversity, the inclusion, the community, the equity, right? And each one just kind of builds on each other as well. Allie, so which is awesome. And I could just go on and listen to them and some great points and how they blend. You know what? Where's our plane going? We need to travel a bit more. And I hope too, if you're following us live on Facebook, put your comments down. What are some of the takeaways that you're having? Some of those ahas with some of these great speakers. And we're not done. We're not quite halfway through. So stay tuned. Allie.
It's amazing. Thank you very much, darling, for the great job you are doing. Just like it's amazing, diverse group we have here. Like it just each speech lead you to the next speech, and each one stand out. It's just amazing. Huh? So, as Darlene said, share on your Facebook, share with your audience so people get some golden nugget from what you're saying. So that way we get more impact. So now the plane is going back to New York with Nadish Montes. Let's bring Nadish to the platform. We're landing right in New York right now.
Oh, New York. Hey, I've never been, but I'd like to have a look. But we're going to learn about that. So, what is she going to be talking about? Well, it's called the confidence relevity in me. Well, a certified personal development and leadership executive coach, early childhood, special educator, right? Trained mental health first aid, professional bridal consultant. Love that. Throw that in there. And I love how it's create a safe environment for children to grow and explore. And they need that with your education director and special education coordinator. I love that you help build dream builders, purpose driven entrepreneurs, build self confidence to ditch life's demands, work commands, so we can live curiously, to relocate, reset, refocus their mindsets that leads us without burnouts. And I'm going to leave you with this. I love it. Believes that turtle steps are turtles. Wear your confidence like you wear your stilettos. Love it. The virtual stage is yours, madame.
Thank you so much, Darlene, and thank you, Ali. You two have put a wonderful summit together. And of course, we are talking about being heard, right? So, how being heard is important in our life. So, we are talking about being the confident revolutionary in ourselves because we are revolutionary. But why do we talk about it? I'm going quickly to brief over what I have experienced, right? As an educator, the past year, we have seen how people have, suddenly they got up and they start talking about, equity, 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 and everything that we do, diversity, inclusion, and all that. But it seems as if it was just yesterday they learned it. All along, it always existed. Why it felt like it's just yesterday everybody has learned those words? It's because nobody really put their mind into learning about it, understanding the concept, understanding those words, and understanding why it is important, for us to be heard, to be seen, and to actually show up to help others, especially in a young mind, be educated so they can show up and do the work that is needed as revolutionary. So if we look at the definition of what Merriam-Webster gave us as for what revolutionary means, it means a person who favors rapid and sweeping changes, especially in laws and methods of government. So I go further into what the thesaurus one have said. What the words that it says is reformist. What is a reformist? A reformist is one who advocates. A reformist is one who favors fundamental change. So is that who we are? Because whenever we use the word revolution, people see, disturbed, they see rebel. So this is to explain, to you why you are that confident revolutionary. For many years, we have lived in a society where, it is seen as, socially biased. So we are exposed to a high range of what works for one must work for all. That's the pattern. That's the pattern we were brought in. That's the pattern we had to go to work with. And that's the pattern that we are teaching others around us. So it favors one group, not the other. So when we stand to voice ourselves, we are seen as rebels, we are seen as disturbers, and we are seen as, many more. But there's something that I want people to understand as we talk deeper into why we need to understand diversity, inclusion, community, and of course, equity or equality. There's a struggle, and the struggle behind diversity is that no one knows unique anymore. The word unique, they don't know it anymore because everybody wants to do, the same thing. You do not see yourself and value you for you. So when we talk about diversity, immediately we talk about what makes us each individual and unique, right? So we look at the way we look at the background, we look at the ethnicity and the race, right? So if we look deeper into this is what we are who we are in our core, our background. We are who we are, where we come from, the way I speak. I have different, you could hear the accent because I speak French, I speak Creole, I grew up in Haiti. So all my life, I've been exposed to learning other languages, forced to do things a certain way. So when I become that revolutionary person, it shows to me that I no longer want to do the thing that is in the pattern of what everybody is doing, but being the confident person to show up and speak my mind, help build confidence, especially in leadership, so we can grow together and help others, especially the young mind, be at a place where they too can be unique on their own. So why is it a struggle to accept being unique in our society? Why is that a struggle? Why do we struggle to, show up and say that we are going to change? One thing I want to, one of the quote that I wrote is that changing your thoughts changes the world. And I believe in that because as we go deeper into the conversation where we are in this morning, we understand that we have a role to fulfill. So our role in this society is to educate many. So when we all stand together to address many events that occur in our daily lives, we wake up every day, we hear, what's going on in the news, we see what's going on, we teach children about, stepping up, and taking charge. So we are getting those perspectives to see things clearer. That's the perspective that we are getting when we decide to get that responsibility to show up to do the things that we have to do. So, and as of also that perspective, we also taking act, that action that we take is the act upon making changes. So changing anything that does not work. So we have to have that mindset of change. What we learned, for me, what I have learned, and even I've seen in this society that I'm living in, is that people are often biased against others, against what we do, against what we say, against how we show up. And, we are all biased, against others in what they are doing outside of the whole social group. So the old ways of living have shown us how much prejudice has affected the minority, right? So whenever someone will stand to change the framework, what they don't like anymore, or they want to call it out, this is the name we are given. We are called rebel. We are called crazy, chaotic being. They are names. We are labeled. And the label is what we want to change in the mindset. Because when we are able to change our thoughts, like I said, we can change the world. But we can change that as a whole by coming together, talk together, and talk about the initiative that we can take when we decide that we are going to change. So, having said that, how equal are we? You know, that's a question that we must ask ourselves. Why are you confused? Why many are confused whenever they are around you, around myself, around, my color, my complexion, and all that? Why? It is unfortunate how human being likes to put others into groups. We like to classify where each of us belong, whether we belong in the high end or lower end. We see and we evaluate other people, instead of seeing them as a whole, instead of seeing that same education I give to this person, I can also give it to me and to others around me and make it a whole. We all have seen how this can result in serious consequences. We have seen it. Many years has passed, right? Have passed where we've seen changes that have been, trying, where others have tried to make change happen, but there's always that suppressor. So when we say equality, how equal are we in a society where men makes more than women, or equal when Black people are seen as terror or ugly or poor? How equal are we when we divide our class that we live in, middle, bourgeois, poor, this person here, that person there? How equal are we when we are now teaching our children in early age that equality is necessary? Why was not taught before? It amazed me that I'm working in a school setting, and it's now those leaders are coming in, and before they open their mouth, they want to say, make sure you say equity and equality. Why weren't we saying it before? So you want to know why you are the confident revolutionary? It's because you come in and you want to make a change. And that's what you are equipped to do. Be a revolutionary. Stand and be heard. Because when you voice yourself, when you stand up, you show up and you say what you have to say, what we do, we grow together. So the other quote that I'm sharing with you that I also wrote is that together we can grow, alone we can't. Well, maybe others have said it, but I'm saying it in a different way. Because what I said in addition to that is that two minds are better than one. Our responsibilities when we show up is to educate others about what they can do, what we can do as a whole. So as a revolutionary or reformist, we have to have the confidence to start something others don't think about or others think small of doing. We have to show up and start the young mind to understand how important it is to stand up for themselves, how important it is to voice their beautiful voice, to be seen and be heard, not seen by the colors, not seen by the way they are dressed, not seen by the way my hair is looked, or the way I show up, but seen as people loved. People who are loved, people who love each other, people who understand each other, people when we say we actually mean it. So we're talking about together. That's where the inclusion comes in. It's that togetherness that we are talking about. So I'm sharing this with you again. Build an empire with two, build a cave with one. It's your choice. The choice is yours. So if you decide that you are going to put together to build an empire, you cannot build it by yourself. So you have to start at that young mind. You have to take them and start putting in their mind the understanding of why it is necessary to work together, to be diverse, to work in a place that is inclusive, where we teach all of us that we can do it all together and not separate. Because when we do it separate, guess what? We put ourselves in a cave. So whenever we talk about inclusion, it gives that sense of belonging. We want to see us together, that we belong and we speak together. We understand each other because we belong in one group, not thousands of. not you are better than me group. So we have to understand how important when we say inclusion, that it makes us feel valued. It makes us be respected, and feel heard. So because of that, we have to really instill it in the mind of the young. And leadership starts that way. It starts at a young age. We don't start leadership, when we grow up. We start building leaders at a young age so they can know how to make decisions to build together and not build alone. Because if they build alone, they will be building caves, not empire. So when we are revolutionizing around others, around the things that we do, what we are doing, we revolutionize around something that is not working, and we ask for change. We ask to seek respect. And that's what we are teaching our young minds. That's what I devote myself to do, is get them to start being delegators, come in and be delegators, show up, talk, express themselves, make decisions. So when we all need to be heard and be seen, it means that we show up. So we have to teach those young minds how to show up at a young age. So the confident mind stands against all odds. And the confident mind helps build what is broken. So what we are doing here is really big. It's grandiose. Because what we are doing, we are showing up, we are coming in to help the young mind understand how important it is for them to show up and speak and bring values and be valued. So we have to me, it is imperative. To me, it is important that we do that as we are doing it with, Dr. Sharon, who was there before, Dr. Rebecca, who was there, Dr. Asta, and all of us, we talked about the different aspects of what we do when we talked about D.I.C.E, when we talked about diversity, when we talked about inclusion and, building culture, a community, building that, that sense of belonging that we so desire to have. So I can stress it, I cannot stress it enough for us to know that when we are show up, we cannot just show up, deciding that, oh, okay, I'm going to be a revolutionary. No, that's not what it is. In the mind of a confident revolutionary that you are showing up to start teaching the young mind. And once you start with one young mind, you get to take others and you get to change the world. So I am really advising all of you behind the screen, as you are standing up for yourself, to understand that you have it in you. But how much do you believe that you have it in you? How much do you believe that you can empower a world by changing that socially biased attitude that people have had for many years, that 100 years? I said that I grew up in Haiti, right? For those of you who probably have known the stories of where I come from. Yes, I grew up there in a country where it's never been, a way of helping people be a whole, because there's always disturbers. There's always people who are just trying to break instead of building, because everybody wants it for them and not really for all. Now we need to come to that thing, that mindset, that when we are working and we say we come in to work together, that's the leadership in ourselves that says that we cannot do it by I, but we have to do it as we. And we have to show up, promising that we are standing up for who we believe in. So I couldn't be any happier to be here this morning and being with all of you who have already shared so much and actually is standing up to to really inspire, but not just inspire, but empowering others, but really the mind of the young, because we start that revolution in the mind of the young ones.
Well,
thank you so much, Darlene. I'm enjoying this.
Thank you. I'm going to stand up, but then you wouldn't be able to see me. You're revolutionary. revolutionary. Hey, you're the passion is so strong, and we are so fortunate that you are here to stand up. I love the fact that looking at changing the minds is what we need to do, and how you're focusing on those young minds. And it's important, like labels, right? And why is it that when people stand up, they are labeled with negative items, that they're rebels, which is not the case. We do not all fit into this square box. We are unique individuals, and it is our role to educate those young minds. And we look at it, we're all equal in many ways, but people just don't see that. So I think you keep on that revolutionary and that confidence, and you've got many more lives to affect and to change. Continue on. I love to hear more. I want to stand up. Yay. Ellie, no, Ellie, sit down. Okay, I'm not.
I'm, I'm standing up.
Are you standing? I'm standing up. I have to move the camera. Oh my goodness! You know,
What what a great speech from Nadej and everyone. It's really amazing to see all those beautiful voices coming, standing for change, standing for what is right, standing for what is good. So we're staying in the state, and we are going now to Greenville in South Carolina, and we are bringing our sister Dr. Viti Speak. She's an author, she's a veteran advocate. I won't read all her bio. I will leave it to you, darling. Go ahead, let's bring Dr. Viti Speak.
this is the real Betty Speak this
Yes,
time.
yeah.
This is the real one, Betty. We tried to make. I tried to make Rebecca you. It just didn't work. So I'm glad we've got the real Betty here. Thanks. I think it's great because you're the person that's honored, discharged, and have retired from the United States Army. Thank you for your service, right?
Thank
And
you.
the looking at the intention mastery stories. I love that. Certified black belt speaker. Not going to mess with you for that, right? It's the power of the voice for those that are silent, right? Your mission is to help others destroy the silence. I love that. And to soar, to your transformation story of grief, depression's healing, world ambassador. I, I love how you said soar, seize opportunities and rise, and there's the hope, help other people enjoy. And it really comes down to this: strength doesn't come from what you can do, it comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't. So powerful. And Dr. Betty, the virtual stage is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I too am honored to be here. Honestly, as Lauren has said, my name is Dr. Betty Speaks, and yes, this is my authentic name. It is not a stage name. I honestly thought I had several cousins and nieces or something on social media when I saw all these individuals with the last name of Speaks. I was telling my husband, honey, there's so many people out here with the name Speaks. I want to connect to them to see if they're related to you. So I have had this authentic name for nearly 30 years. And I want to share with you today, especially those leaders, those individuals that are leaders at Burger Kings or IHOPs or McDonald's, or if you have a corporate office, if you have your personal business, whatever it is that you are leading, my conversation is for you today because I thoroughly believe that leaders lead leaders. And in order to do that, you have to have that perfect voice to lead others. And this platform today is so perfect for leaders to lead leaders. And I want to ask you a question. Are your employees, your coworkers, your family members talking about observing June 12th today? Are they? I know that most of you are here today, but June 12th and Juneteenth are important days for this month, especially if you are dicing. Yes, especially. You see, leaders, now is definitely the time for your voice, for you to voice your opinion on June 12th and Juneteenth. Let me go ahead and tell you about these two States. First of all, I want to let you all know that yes, she did a great job reading my bio. I know she skimped over some things, but that's fine. But I want you to know that I'm your lifetime imprint leader. I'm extremely passionate about empowering individuals to resurrect and establish themselves through the four components of life, and that is spiritual growth, financial literacy, personal and professional development. And professional and personal development is what we are doing today. You see, I'm that chosen warrior. Yes, I say warrior who inspires others to create an imprint that will live on long after they are gone. That's why we're here today. I hold virtual groups and family workshops on leaving an imprint. I will help you understand the importance of rising above your life encounters and how you shall start facilitating simple golden rules into your life just by getting rid of the stress that plagues our nation. What stress? I'm glad you asked. What about diversity, inclusion, community, and equity? Yes, DICE. What about that? You see, that is still plaguing our nations. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said a long time ago in his I Have a Dream speech, we can't keep doing business as usual. So, leaders, we have to continue to train leaders to be leaders. Did you know that June 12th is designated as Women Veterans Day? Yes, today is Women's Veterans Day. So I want to say to all my comrades, the women veterans that have served our country, served our nation, served in our world forces, happy Women's Veterans Day to you. The first Women's Veterans Day was held June 12th, 2018, marking today, yes, today, the 73rd anniversary of groundbreaking Women's Armed Service Integration Act. That's a Women Armed Service Integration Act. You see, we're talking about DICE today: diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. That's what we're talking about. This is why Women's Veterans Day is today. This law was signed by President Harry S. Truman on June 12th, 1948. I know some of us wasn't even thought about in 1948, but President Harry S. Truman was thinking about diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. Again, that law enabled women to serve as permanent regular members of the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Coast Guard, Air Force, and just recently, maybe last year or year before, they've added Space Forces. So again, I want to congratulate all my sister comrades for serving your country, your world, and happy Women's Veterans Day to each of you. Just did a little bit of diversity, inclusion, communicate, and community with equity to you all because this is what leaders do. We actually communicate why people are taking the day off. Why are we celebrating or observing June 12th as Women's Veterans Day? Some didn't know that. Some didn't know the purpose for the Women's Veterans Day. And then the other significant event this month we have is Juneteenth or June 19th. In 1865 is the day U.S. troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to free enslaved African Americans who remained under ownership for 2.5 years after Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. 2.5 years. They were supposed to be free, but they remained enslaved after the president had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So Juneteenth, Liberation Day, Freedom Day, and Emancipation Day came out of as a result of that incident taking place in Galveston, Texas. to free those African American slaves. So the reason this is important to know is because of DICE, diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. And one of my favorite quotes is by John Lewis when he said, "If you see something, say something." Someone back then saw something and said something. There's like two quotes to that particular quote. But I want to give you his quote verbatim. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. So, leaders, this is for you. You see, it has to start at the top. It can't start from the bottom. And you can educate the bottom, but as leaders, we want to be righteous. We want to walk that righteous path and do what is right. So again, John Lewis, he was a senator. He passed last year, maybe the year before, but he's no longer with us. He said, when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just. You have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. So we thank those individuals that were back there in June of 1865 that saw something and they spoke up. And now today we are observing Juneteenth. And what leaders can do to support DICE on June 12th and Juneteenth is celebrate freedom, celebrate equality rights, and reflect on those who left the imprint. You see, I told you that's what I do, is I teach leaders the Imprint Act. So we have to continue to celebrate freedom, celebrate equality, celebrate equal rights, and then reflect on those who made a difference, those who left the imprint. I love telling people that I was born on April 4th, on Maya Angelou's birthday, and the day that Dr. Martin Luther King. I cannot celebrate my birthday the way I want to because I am observing the both of them because of the imprint that they left on this world. Yes, that day is April 4th, and for those that don't know. So I love celebrating and commemorating and reflecting back on the things that they did for me to be where I am today. Look, on an international platform, speaking to you about DICE. Yes, speaking to you on diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. This is what leaders do. Leaders lead leaders. And I want you to remember that for all of the leaders that are listening to this today. And if you have a leader that is not observing these 2 days for this particular month, why don't you just invite them to this program? So they're going to be so overwhelmed with good information on DICE. A lot of people haven't even heard of the word DICE, and it is coming out so good this year. I'm so honored to be able to talk to you about diversity. You can visit a museum, read a book, watch a movie, learn more about years leading up to the historic day of June 12th or Juneteenth, or any historical day that we may encounter or you may embrace this month. Not just those 2 dates. These are just happen. This just happens to be the dates that I am speaking on today. There are so many other important dates out there to remember. I mean, so many. But you have to do it as a leader. You have to visit museums, read books, watch movies, learn more about the years that led up to things that happened in our history today. And then share those things with your employees, your family members, your children, your children's children, your children's children's children. You get what I'm saying. And then there's inclusion. Individuals need to feel that they belong, they fit in. Leaders must reflect on just this. You know, I can remember being in the military when I first joined at the age of 15. Yes, I did. I didn't fit in because people were older than me. I was one of the youngest ones. I went in on the delayed entry program. I felt so out of place, you know, that the drill sergeants were teasing me about my age. I just didn't fit in. And as I went on into my military career, I realized that I didn't fit in a lot of other areas, being the only female on certain assignments, being the shortest female on certain assignments. So where are we still failing short or falling short as a nation on what can work, what can be done to allow one to bring the uniqueness and the authentic self into inclusion. We have to believe and understand that we are included in anything that we encounter. If you are going to play softball, you should let every person on your team or all your employees participate in softball, whether they can play softball or not. It wasn't one of my fan sports, but as you begin to build teamwork, it makes that dream work. And then perhaps your green can work if you are a leader, if you own a corporate office, And then there is community. Spend time with old friends, meet new ones, and bring them together. It's kind of like fits in with inclusion to me. You can go to if June 16th, I'll go back to June 16th. They have food, dances, and folklores, and they just have events, so many different events, their dances, the different types of food. If you don't eat chicken, you can go to Juneteenth. I promise you they will have chicken and barbecue ribs there. I promise you that. If that's not a delicacy of yours, why don't you take some of your employees there? Take your family members there that have not ever participated in a Juneteenth before so they can get educated on what Juneteenth is and what it means to others. I'm not just going to stay here on Juneteenth. Even today, wherever you are, if there is someone that you know that is served in the military, especially a woman, just thank her for her service. Chat with her and find out what were the challenging things being in the service like for her. Today, women are doing things that women weren't allowed to do when I was in the military. And I remember when some of those things began to transition. I was thinking I didn't vote for equal rights, equal pay, equality on all these things. I didn't want to be assigned to a combat maneuver training center command. I don't want to go to combat. I want to stay here and do these supportive missions that women are supposed to do. But no, we were fighting for those things. We wanted inclusion. We wanted to be in the community. We wanted to do the same things and get the same pay that men were getting. So spend time with someone today and see what is different with them today than it was yesterday. And then perhaps what it looks like, what it will look like for women in the future. What will Juneteenth look like in the future? Equity. You know, you have to take a moment. Honestly, I'm talking to my leaders. That's who I love to speak to because leaders lead leaders. I am talking to my leaders. Take a moment and imagine life during slavery. Can you just do that? Take a moment and imagine life during slavery. The injustice and the hardship for so many people. Oh my goodness. I was just sharing with a friend a couple of days ago. And I know she's not watching this, but she'll probably get the replay. But I saw her post a picture of her hanging out of a tree. And I'm thinking, she's in her 40s. And I'm like, why are you hanging out of that tree? That kind of I felt something when I saw that. But she was just having fun in her mind. Then I gave her a piece of history. And she says, I never even thought of that. So take the time, take a moment, and try to imagine the feeling of newfound freedom. What it's like to be free. Like I told you before, like was read on my bio, I'm prior military. And there were times when I couldn't wait to get back on American soil. But I had to fulfill my missions before I could get back over here because we were fighting. We were doing things for freedom on a different scale. So you have to take the time and just focus on what it was like when equality was so badly, and then or equity was badly, and now realize what it's like today. We still have a long ways to go, which is why we are here today. So, leaders, I want you to be persistent and show consistency in observing DICE. You know, you have to do it daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. You can't just do it every June 12th or Juneteenth. You can't do it every time my brother Ali have a show and think of it at that particular time. You have to show persistency, and you have to be consistent, and be and observe DICE, like I said before, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. So one of my favorite quotes is that strong people are not simply born, they resurrect by sharing the imprints they generated throughout their life journey. And that's a personal quote that I wrote. So again, it's strong people don't, they're not simply born, they resurrect by sharing the imprints of their life journey. So that's why we are observing DICE today. And I want to thank my friend Ali for inviting me to this platform. And again, if you can get out and celebrate or observe DICE this month, next month, the month after, it would be an honor to have takeaways. So my name is Dr. Betty Speaks, and it has been such a pleasure to be on this platform with you today.
Yes, yes, Dr. Betty, you are leaving your imprint in this world for your service, and you're helping leaders lead, which is so, so wonderful. And I love all the famous dates. And I did not know that today, June 12th, is Women's Veteran Day. And you being a veteran, how awesome is that all together? Yes, you are the chosen warrior. Rise above is what we need. And yes, looking at those imprints, the spiritual growth, the financial literacy, the personal and professional development. And I love how you say something like John Lewis said, right? Speak up, see something, say something. And you've got many more leaders to help lead better in this world. All right. Thank you. Oh, Allie, they're just wonderful, wonderful job. Hey, don't forget, put in the comments. What are some of the cool takeaways? They are many. The impact.
It's amazing, amazing. We just learned something. It's today's June 12th. It's just like the Veteran Women Day. Thank you,
How
Dr. Beauty. It's nice always to have you. Always have some powerful message to share. It's always amazing.
she's very good with the dates and her birthday, right? The
Oh,
famous
yes.
day. I love it.
100%. So I think yeah, you can share on your profile, share so we get more impact so people can see it. Sorry, I share on your profile in on your behalf, so you can get mad at me after.
No, sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. So I think now, my friend, the plane is going just go back to Moncton, New Brunswick,
Hometown,
or
yes.
or saving on gas. Huh?
Yes, saving on gas.
So we are going to get Natalie Fougere, and she's here in Moncton, New Brunswick. And her speech is she's a translator from English to French, emotional fitness coach, going to be emotional fitness coach, and the overcoming barrier. That's her speech. What's the title?
Breaking barriers beyond blindness. Yes.
Breaking beyond blindness. Wow, what's an amazing. Let's bring our friend Natalie Fougere.
Natalie, yes, definitely a translator from English to French. Such a valuable service, emotional fitness coach things. Hey, yes, breaking those barriers from blindness. I can't wait to hear what you have to impact, and the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Okay, that is awesome. Well, hello, everyone. And it is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Ali and Darlene, for allowing me to actually present for you guys. I'm going to do a little more of a life sharing presentation, which will help show what things that I've been through and what inclusion and community and also equity means to me. So
I guess the first thing that I've learned is so when I was born, there's been a challenge that was brought up to me from the beginning because I was born with a condition called optic nerve hypoplasia. So it's a fancy way of saying that my optic nerve has not been developed. So when I was born, people didn't really identify that I had a disability because it wasn't really shown because the optic nerve was so far behind the eye. And once they determined that, once the tests were done, the doctors said a very, I'm saying this sarcastically, a very positive thing that I'm going to be like a toaster without a cord, without sight. So this was what we had been told, my family and I. But my family decided, and of course later on I decided that that is not the way that I was going to live, and that I decided that I was going to go to school like everyone else because I had been put forward the opportunity to go at a specialized school for people who are blind or to be integrated in the regular school. And we chose for me to be integrated in the regular school, which was a great opportunity for me because I did have contact with the visual world, but I also received services where people would get together, people who were blind or were partially sighted. So that was kind of a sense of community that people could actually get together and be part of different activities. Now, as a child, like in my earlier years at school, it was a little harder to be integrated in certain things like the physical education, like to be included within that, because it was a lot harder to have adapted a sports program, like at the time when I was going to the gym. But later on, as I went to high school, I have been put forward the opportunity to be part of certain adapted sports program. So, and then I was able to be active. So it was that was one of the things that showed that we could all be included and equal, but in a different way, even if it was adapted. And when I was in high school, I already started to recognize the importance of wanting to be involved in different community organizations, like as a volunteer for people who had different disabilities, and also like some of the school programs like the radio programming. I was able to do a radio show, so it kind of shows that even if some things are done differently, that we're still that I was still able to do it, and that everyone can really, no matter the difference, even if it's done differently. So when I was done high school, then the question was, where do I go from here? Because I already had a positive outlook, a positive attitude towards things, but I still did not know where to go in my studies. So when I started university in 2005, translation was my main field of interest. And when I started, the director of the program at the time was not the most open person to have a person who was blind. So about that topic that was discussed earlier about putting people in the same boat, that's kind of what was happening, that in this person's mind, if a person who was blind would not be able to complete the program, because this person assumed that my screen reader would not be compatible with many of the dictionaries. So for a while, I actually believed what was said to me. And because I was such an open person to want to explore different fields, I decided to take a multidisciplinary arts bachelor with courses in psychology, communications, and French studies. And I graduated in 2010. However, in the back of my mind, I always had translation in my mind that I wanted to complete. So I decided during the last year to take that on to try to explore that further to see if I would be able to do it. And thanks to a group, an email group of people who are blind and partially sighted translators and interpreters, this support group was able to tell me that it was definitely possible, that I would actually be able to do it. So I then I then decided to take the accelerated program in translation at Université de Moncton. And I completed the bachelor. And yes, there were some times where I wanted to pull my hair out, and sometimes I had incredible, great challenges. But I decided that I was going to go forward, that I was going to complete it, and I did. And I'm very proud of this. And after the education, once we talk about I guess the inclusion in education, came the workplace. Now, this was a bit more of a challenge because after 2012, I was not able to find actual stable employment. I was often told that more experience was needed in my field of work. But this is, I guess, where there are still things to be done for inclusion. That some people need to have the experience to have that chance to get the experience. But while I was waiting, I was searching for employment. I stayed extremely involved as a volunteer. When I was at university, I was part of students with disabilities organizations that gave me a bunch of tools in order to be a leader and to be able to raise awareness, and also like self advocacy. That's something that's very important. And I guess what I have to say also is that the technology, that it was not quite as advanced in my earlier years, but that today I can say that it's allowing for more and more people to be included, because so many things are accessible to us. Like the sky is the limit for what we can do. Thanks to the different screen readers, speech programs that are out there, and that are not they're not all that costly. Some of them are, but that it's very easy to have access. So within the last year, I've really recognized the importance of that technology with the pandemic, because I was able to be part of so many wonderful online sessions where it could be within support groups. That's where I really felt the sense of the community, everyone getting together. Even being able to to give French sessions as a volunteer, that's been a great opportunity. But I have to say that as a person with a disability, this year has really been my year. Like since the beginning of the year, so many wonderful opportunities are given to me. I've been introduced to the field of emotional fitness, and I strongly, strongly believe in this. It's to be able to be that listening ear for people, because challenges will always happen. There'll always be challenges going on, but it's the way the person to have that listening ear to be able um, to reflect on what's going on inside of me, what are the challenges, and how I'm able to overcome them, how I'm able to get past them. And this year, at the end of this year, I'm going to be an emotional fitness coach. I'm taking the coaching training the moment, and I'm also translating resources, so I'm doing a bit of the best of both worlds, being able to do all those wonderful things, and as well being involved as a volunteer. So I guess what like the point of what I want to show everyone is that no matter what's happening, if you're determined to get to a certain place and to conquer every barrier, there's always a way around it. Being included, and even being independent as a person, that's another term that many people will have a false perception on, saying that we have to do everything on our own. And sometimes it is just to be able to get the services that we need, to be able to get the help, to get the support, the community involvement. By getting that is that can also be independent. And I guess that's what I want to say, to be a leader, to be stronger than ever. It's also to be able to work together and to hear all the wonderful stories, all the wonderful presentations from different backgrounds. I think that's where the diversity comes from, that we come from different backgrounds, we live different experiences, and that we there's nothing that's impossible if we really want to do anything. So that's really my main message that I wanted to give to everyone. Thank you
All
so much.
right. Natalie, listen, the chat's is blowing up with the determination that you have. We appreciate you sharing, and giving us from your perspective. One of the things I loved is you're the listening ear for people, right? And, an awesome display of determination, Natalie, so that was in the comments by many people. Love, the importance of community and the support, right, that you get out there. And a toaster that's not plugged in. I thought that was cute the way you put it. As people say, phenomenal messages from great leaders. Definitely. Hey, a radio show, volunteers, the positive attitude. You're an example that in the community of diversity, inclusion, and treating everybody equal. So thank you for stepping up and being that person.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Natalie. All right, so awesome. Well, we're not done. We're not done. We still got about 4 more speakers, even more. So I'll tell you, the rock stars are in the house today. Ali, where should we go now? Where are we taking our plane?
Now let's see. We still having messages but Natalie, just amazing. We have Joe saying like an awesome display for determination. Natalie, we have Michelle, Richard. Having known Natalie for over 20 years, I can say that she is the definition of inclusion, diversity, and the most genuinely kind, optimistic, and inspirational human being. Definitely, she is. She's just like full of energy, and she didn't let that obstacle stop her, but she keep going and going. And I really love the energy. Okay, so where are we going right now, my friend? I think the plane's still circling in the sky. We're trying to find out where are we going. So we are going to see the Prof. Matthias Motola. Let's bring our brother up.
Well, Mr. Productivity is. Do you have Mr. Joseph?
Oh yeah, Mr. Joseph. Sorry.
Not Mr. Joseph. I apologize. It is Dr. Joseph. Oh, how could I not say that? Oh, now he's gone from a Mr. to a doctor to a professor, tongue-tied as such. All right. And he's going to be talking about the productivity, business of humanity, and civility Genuine. Yes, yes. Solidity. And he is creator of the National Productivity Business Day celebration on November 13th coming up. I love this. He's a productivity speaker, strategic, and consultant. And his goal is helping entrepreneurs and business owners maximize their productivity. We can all use more productivity. Recognized as one of the top 40 productivity experts to follow. I know you're going to be on my list to follow, right? Son of immigrants from Haiti. Oh my goodness. Vowed to help others to reach their maximum potential, which is true. Thank you. Also, some military service as well. And, recognized on Hero Spokesperson for Women's Entrepreneur, and so much more that I could go on and on. But I want to hear from you. So, Dr. Joseph, the stage is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Darlene. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all on the Find Your Voice Summit. We're talking DICE. First, let me say, Ari, thank you so much. Ali, thank you so much for giving us the platform to be able to share with the world internationally. It is truly, truly an honor to all those who have come before me, Dr. Sonia Robinson, Dr. Sharon Anderson, Dr. Betty Speaks, Dr. Rebecca Harper, Dr. Estelle Collins, Adej Montez, and of course, Natalie. What phenomenal speakers. And I am so grateful and thankful to be amongst you. Really quickly, I just kind of want to have a dialogue, if that's okay. Instead of just giving a specific speech, I want to talk to you about how important diversity, inclusion, community, and equity is. Now, when we think of those words, my question to you is, what do you really think? When you hear diversity, first and foremost, we want to think of diverse. We want to think of a range of differences. I've written many, many books, and one of those books with my good friend, Sir Clyde Rivers, is a book on differences, teaching people that different doesn't mean wrong. So when we bring all of this together, and diversity is that very first word, it makes you think from a range of differences. Is that not what this world is all about? Are we not a big melting pot? No one is more important than the other. Everyone has value. 7.8 billion people on the planet, and every one of them brings something to the table. But then as we move into inclusion, we begin to see, what does that actually mean? And here's where I want everyone who is listening, watching the replay, wherever you are from, in the morning, afternoon, evening, or somewhere in between, let's think of this word inclusion and think of it from this perspective: actively. Not passively, but actively including or being included. Actively is the word that I really want you to focus in on. So diversity, we're talking inclusion. Now let's go to community. Every time I hear that word, I know it's a compound word, so I have to break that word down and help people to understand that our world is in need of bringing unity back into the community. Because community means a common unity. And what diversity, inclusion, community, and equity is really talking about is ensuring that we have a common unity no matter where we are on the planet. So when we look at this word, we really, really have to peel the onion back and ask ourselves, how did we get away from its definition to begin with? Moving forward, we go into equity. So the quality of being fair and impartial. If I may, and I had to title what I'm actually talking about, it would be the productive business of humanity and civility. You see, service to humanity is civility in action. It's a quote I wrote several years ago as God was speaking to me and looking at the world as a whole. So if we dial back just a little bit with the community and the common union, and then we use this actual quote that service to humanity is civility in action, then we all would do our part. What is the goal of DICE? What is the goal of civility? Let me share it this way. Civility. No, let me not get ahead of myself. Let me just give us the goal. The goal, when we talk diversity, when we talk inclusion, when we talk community, equity, whatever you put in front of it, the goal is to remove the barriers, remove the hurdles, remove the boundaries, remove the roadblocks. How? By living the golden rule. When we live the golden rule, everything else goes out the window. Why? Because I treat you with love, kindness, and respect, just as if it were myself. So when we look at it from that perspective, how do we live the golden rule? By seeing humanity first and civility for all. I'm going to say that again. By seeing and living humanity first and civility for all. When we live from that perspective, things begin to change. Let me tell you, when I began this philosophy of productive business civility, my mind was racing in so many different ways. It started as a thought in my mind, and I always wanted to be a productive person in life. So whether that was in sports, finance, relationships, or most importantly, business, I just wanted to be productive. So when I look at this philosophy of productive business civility, it comes from a biblical worldview. It is that civility is the engine that drives our world. This is not an industry thing. This is not a race thing. This is not a financial thing. Listen, there is not an industry that can survive nor thrive or be able to be sustained without civility in action. You name one, I will shut my mouth forever. But you can't. Why? Because civility truly is the engine that drives our world. If you show me an organization that is void of civility, I can show you that it is destined to fail, destined to crumble. This is true whether we are talking about government, countries, region, empires, educational systems. Listen to me very clearly. Productive business civility was founded on a principle that I think that everyone knows, but just needs to be awakened on. And that principle is that people treatment is God's concern. Stop the presses, folks. It doesn't matter what else is going on. If civility and people treatment is God's concern, then it has to become all of our concern. All people were created in the image and the likeness of God, and therefore they are valued and valuable to God. So productive business civility literally is a new paradigm to some, but it's been my life work. And business and civility in action is what brings forth the productive side. So this is where business and people are of equal value. This concept is that we are all equal in time, but we are separated by how we produce in it. Do you know that the most powerful commodity and currency for business is the value of people, their ideas, and their solutions? Show me an organization or a business that can run without people. There is none, okay? There are three pillars to the productive business civility mantra, motto, philosophy, whatever you want to call it. And it's very simplistic because it comes from civility. And that is kindness, respect, and internal as well as external synergy. Do you know that God is our source? And from the beginning, God expressed love, kindness, and respect towards us. So really and truly, is not God truly the epitome of civility? So when we talk diversity, inclusion, community, and equity, what are those? These are all pieces of the puzzle that come from civility. And if you don't believe that, all you have to do is look around. The world is screaming. The world is desiring to get back to its original state when people were important. We cannot put everything over people and then say we value people. From the inception, we were called to be productive. From the beginning, we were instructed to be fruitful and to multiply. Genesis 1:28, it says, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and all the animals that scurry along the ground. Even Leviticus 26:9 tells us, I will turn toward you and make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will fulfill my covenant with you. Psalms 8:6 says, you made him ruler over the works of your hands. You have placed everything under his feet. Can I ask you 3 simple questions that I will challenge everyone who is listening or who will watch this replay. Here are the questions that I want you to answer for yourself in life. What are you doing to produce in the earth? Pause for the cause. Think about that. How are you being an effective change agent? I really want you to write these down, because you're not going to be able to do it while you're watching the Facebook Live or the YouTube. Then I want you to ask yourself, are you using what you have to produce the evidence and the results for this generation and others to come? You see, for over 2 decades, I have taught the productive principle everywhere that I've been able to travel. I served the United States military. I was in the Army. I was a W-4, a warrant officer 4 in the United States Army. I ran logistics and contracting. I've been to over 60 plus countries. This principle that I am telling you, I've used it both in government, in education, and everywhere in between. What I know is that it works. Why? Because I have lived it. Many people want to talk textbook knowledge, but I want to give you experience that works. And that is what these doctors and these speakers have been giving you on the Find Your Voice Summit. They're teaching you how they have diced in their life. And that's why this is so important. Listen, I believe that transparency is freedom. And the productive principle has brought me freedom to so many. And I've been able to share that with others by helping them live the golden rule. The question is, what do you do today? And do you know that what you do today will affect your tomorrow? I want to give you practical and applicable things that you can take away with you. My productivity ethos says this: if I can see it, then I can achieve it. If I can believe for it, then I can run towards it. If it is possible, then I must produce it. Be innovative, be productive, and live to produce. Why is this so important? Because throughout my time on this planet, I have recognized that people, as you heard Natalie say, will put barriers on you. The only barrier that you should hear and receive is the barrier that you put on yourself. And today I challenge you to break the chains, break the barriers, overcome the hurdles, and make sure that you don't allow anything to be a roadblock in your life. Let things become a speed bump or something that will catapult you towards your future as you live out the DICE, the diversity, the inclusion, the community, and the equity. Why is this so important? Let me share with you a couple more words. What burns in your heart is your passion. Point and directly tied to your purpose. Follow the things that burn in you and never ignore it. Choose your decisions wisely and go after your dream. Know your why and pursue it daily. Why is this important? Because people will tell you all day, every day, and every day that ends in why, what you cannot do. But the only voice that matters is the voice that's in your head. You've got to learn how to clear out the noise, eradicate your distractions, and help people to see that it is possible even when they think that it's not. There are a few critical factors in the productive business civility equation, and the key is what I like to call the RCP principle. Please, ma'am, please, sir, hear me very clearly. Building healthy and solid relationships, that's the R in RCP. Establishing synergistic collaborations, that's the C in RCP. And then developing strategic partnerships, that's the P. So you have relationships, collaborations, and partnerships. This is how you DICE. This is how you find your voice. This is how you build platforms and help people to go beyond where they are in life. Productive civility is simply being open, being available, being teachable, but most of all, being ready to execute. You must decide, my friends, to be proactive instead of reactive. You must decide to never settle for mediocrity, because ordinary is not the standard when extraordinary is possible and it's available. Learn to plan your day and schedule your task in advance. Utilize every available source and system to keep you producing at high levels of what I like to call evidence and results. Ignite your passion by developing what I call productive systems that magnify it. If I could really quickly, Darlene, let me give them just a few more things. The productive business of humanity and civility has values. And there's one specific value that I want you to take away. I am honored to be a global productive citizen. Make that your value. 7 key points: build productive citizens by strengthening the bond of relationships, empower others to create through writing, developing, and forging the pathways of productivity, teach individuals how to be responsive instead of reactive, train through productive principles of community, entrepreneurship, education, ministry, marketplace, sports, government, nonprofit sector, military, men, women, children, and family. Seek opportunities to innovate, improve, and bring ingenuity into our world. 6 would be to bring platforms that uplift others by producing and providing service. And the 7th one is to be responsible for living unapologetically and uncompromising levels of integrity, character, and morality. Simply put, be innovative, be productive, and live to produce. Remember this, my friends, you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both. God bless you all.
Well, God bless you and thank you for that powerful speech. Live the golden rule. After listening to you, I understand why you're the top productivity trainer. It is awesome. Don't let those barriers stop us. And equal in time. And I thought, you know what? That's so important because it doesn't matter who we are, where we are in the world. We all have 24 hours a day. So much. And treatment of people, yes. I love it. 7.8 billion people. We all have value, no question. And I love when you said, our world is in the need to bring back unity in our community, which is so true. And those key words: love, kindness, respect. We need more of it. Serve the world. What are you doing to produce each day? And one of the key things: textbook knowledge. No, one thing about everybody here today, it's their experience in D.I.C.E, diversity, inclusion, community, equity. Thank you, Monsieur. You are the producing man, and we're going to keep producing from the impact you've made.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much, Prof. Vernet. It was amazing, very powerful, and that's what we are looking for. D.I.C.E together, just to inspire positive change, to ignite the change, and people need to find their voice so they can inspire in that change. Thank you very much
for your great platform. Continue to do great work.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you big time. All right, so now we are going back to Africa.
Back to Africa. Oh, yes.
Check if we have enough gas there, because we don't want to go in the middle of the road and on the. We are going to Mozambique, all the way to Mozambique. So
Mozambique, we don't want it all. I believe we have time to see another doctor as well. Hey, it's so powerful. Thank you. Hey, there's still time to share this on Facebook. Put in your aha moments. Who have been making some impacts? Great takeaways. Appreciate all your comments out there.
All right, let's bring brother Prof. Matthias Motola all the way from Mozambique.
Wow, we just keep traveling. I love it. Well, we're going to be talking about, just let me quickly introduce a few key things about you. Genuine civility. I love it. He is a life coach. Your passion is to help discover your purpose in life, maximize your potential. And I love it. I heard this, someone said earlier, die empty. How important. Focus on individual growth, fulfillment, and happiness. You're a world changer, right? A lot of great things. And one thing I really noticed, your common interest is practicing solutions for sustainable development of Africa, reshaping the way the world thinks about and looks at Africa. That really stood out in your bio for me. Therapy, coaching sessions, free to love again. I love that. Restore the true purpose and significance of loving relationships. Pioneer of the generous philosophy that every human is born and they are a genius. Countless young people in the country awake to their greatness. and many books as well. All right, I can't wait to hear about your genuine civility. Professor, doctor, the platform is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Darlene. Thank you so much, Ellie. I want to just say, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations for the initiative, which you are, and for this conference, or this summit, that is for sure changing the world. I want to appreciate all as well, every other speaker that was on this platform just before myself. I want to just briefly speak on the genius civility. The reason why I chose this because I've got a very strong belief that every human being is born a genius. In this part of the world, we were taught that some people are born gifted, and some people, when they do the IQ test, they're the ones taken to be genius, to be considered as very or highly intellectual people that can really produce significantly in this world. In my country, at the university level, for example, you are not allowed to contradict or bring about a thought different from, let me say, a renowned speaker, alive or dead, or philosopher. So we were just forced to just embrace what they said in the past, whether that works or not. But then some time ago, I began to think really about this, and I began to realize that every human being is born a genius. In my country right now, we have a population of about 30 million people. So I believe that my country is infested with about 30 million genius people, and the world has got about 7.5 or almost 8 billion people. So the world is filled up with the 8 billion geniuses, in the sense that we got 80 billion people, which equals to 8 billion solutions for the problems of the world today. But then this understanding of I being born a genius brings about four things into my mind. Number one, it will help me rebuild my self-esteem, or my identity, will help reconstruct or rebuild my identity. And when I speak about identity, I'm talking about the four selves of mankind. Number one, I'm talking about self-esteem, which deals with how much I love myself. This is a key, because unless I love myself, I can't love you. I can't love anybody else. So it's very important that first and foremost, I love and accept myself totally unconditionally. The other aspect is self-worth, which has to do with how valuable I think I am. It's very important how valuable I think I am. Most of the things we do, most times what people do, is because we are looking for validity. We're looking for approval from other people. But once you understand that you are a genius, you begin to see that you need nobody's approval to pursue your dreams, your vision, your assignment, and the purpose in this life. You need nobody's approval because you are a genius, and you understand that you are created in the image and likeness of God. So being made in His image and likeness, that alone tells you that you are a genius or someone really, really special. The other self is the self concept, which has to do with how you define yourself. Your life will always be a manifestation of your self definition. Who do you think, or who are you in your own concept, your own understanding? How do you define yourself? That has a great impact in how you conduct your life here on earth. And then the other aspect of the self is the self image. Now, these are mental pictures which you have right in the back of your mind about you. So, mind you that your everyday life is simply a manifestation of your self-esteem, of your identity, which comprise your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-concept, as well as your self image. Your self image are the pictures in your mind, in your subconscious mind, that fight for expression every day. That's why sometimes you got people that'll tell you, right? I don't know why my life's not working. I take 5 steps forward, but at the end of the day, I take 10 steps backwards. Most of the time, this happens because of the mental images, the pictures, right? That are way engraved in your subconscious mind. They always fight for expression and manifestation. So once you understand that you are born a genius, then you begin to see by yourself that your identity shall be restored or rebuilt. You're going to have the correct self image about yourself, the correct self concept, the correct self-worth, and also the correct self-esteem. You will know that you are not what you do. You are not what you have. Please understand this. What you do is something other different from who you are. What you have, again, is also different from who you are. So we need to build our lives from who we are, from this understanding, rather than from what we do. Because some people are very good at degrading themselves, especially because when they commit or make mistakes. Then the other thing is, understand that you're born a genius will eliminate from you the sense of competition, because most some people believe that life is competition. They're competing with everybody else, with themselves and everybody else. But then once you know that you're a genius, you really understand that life is not meant for competition per se, but manifestation. You're just on earth to manifest the gifts and the talents that the creator has deposited did deposit in you. And as you manifest your gifts, you manifest your talents, your skills, etc., you're gonna better humanity, but also better the world. You're gonna delve into the dicing. There'll be diversity, there'll be inclusion, there'll be community, and also equity, because you are no competition. You learn to respect and appreciate other people for who they are. But then going back to what Dr. V was saying, Professor V was saying, there will be the manifestation of or the practice of the golden rule. If you know who you are, if you're not in competition but manifestation, then you'll practice the golden rule. You will know how to treat other people, or learn to do so, treat others in the very same way in which you want to be treated in every sphere of life, be in the family, be in a community, be in a business arena, be in a religious arena, be in politics, government. You always know how to strive to treat other people the way you want to be treated. And then the other aspect, very interesting as well, is that once you know that you are born a genius, you'll begin to build faith in yourself. You begin to learn to believe in you. Why? Because most of us believe in other people. We believe more in other people than in ourselves. We believe more what the people say even about us than in our very own opinion about ourselves. That's why it's important to understand you are special, you are important, significant, but also know that you are born a genius, and that you need to begin to develop and build faith in yourself. Faith in yourself. Believe in you more than anyone else. Once again, why? Because your everyday life will always be a manifestation of how much you believe in you. Your productivity on earth is bound to faith in you. Your dicing on earth is bound to how much you believe in yourself. This is important. So once you begin to believe faith in yourself, you begin to build what I call the significant consciousness. You begin to build the consciousness that you are significant. You are significant, or that I am significant. I am significant. And once you have this consciousness, four things will be stirred up in your system. Number one, you will understand that you are God's gift to your generation. It's important to know this. You begin to have this understand that I am a gift to my generation. I'm God's gift to the whole of my generation. So I gotta play my role right on earth. I gotta impact lives. I gotta change destinies. I gotta embrace diversity, embrace inclusion. I gotta embrace community and the equity. Why? Because I'm a gift into diversion. I'm a gift into inclusion. I am a gift, God's gift, the Creator's gift into my community. I'm also a gift into equity. Once you know that, you begin to build another consciousness which says, I am a solution, right? I'm not a problem on earth. I am a solution. And the other aspect is you begin to understand that you have an unlimited potential to literally be, do, and have anything you want. You are born with this unlimited potential. Why? Because you come from an unlimited creator, God. You come from God. You are his image and likeness. So you got an unlimited potential. And then last, we understand that you are born a winner. you will know that you are born a winner. Once you know that, embrace the consciousness that you're a genius, you know that you are born a winner. And once you embrace that, just to end, you understand that whatever you do affects everyone else. Whatever I do affects you. Whatever you do also affects me. And then you know that whatever we do affects our environment, but also the world at large.
All
Thank you so
right.
much, Dalil.
Thank you. And you know what? I'm glad to know that we are all geniuses.
Wow.
Sometimes we just need people to tell us. And the passion that you have for that is awesome. You know, and I love how you say, right, we're not a problem, we're a solution. And you know, how much you love yourself. That was an important message because everything built off of that, right? You don't need anybody's approval. So
Yes.
thank you for telling us we don't. And you know, the pictures in our minds, the faith and believe in ourselves, and we definitely are God's gift to generations, right? We're not in competition with others, even though some people think. And we have our identity, and you are going to help continue to to impact the world, because you're telling us all we're geniuses, and we are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So more messages to share. Awesome. Hey, Allie, we're geniuses. Did you, Allie? We're geniuses. Allie, we can't hear you. You're a genius, but you got to turn on the volume.
We are Genesis, my friend, and thank you, Prof. Matis Motola, all the way from Mozambique, Africa, for sharing this amazing message. And as Joe Baptist said, self-esteem is a must. I am all about my focus of control, faith, and belief. Great message, brother. And yes, and they have even also a message here from Prof. Verin said, Matthias Mutual, love it. Great word of encouragement. I love it. I'm all encouraged. I'm all pumped up, ready to go. Let's stay in Africa, and this time in Kenya, Nairobi, and we are bringing Dr. Juma Nashon, and he's a professional coach, motivator, and a corporate trainer. Let's bring Dr. Juma Nashon all the way from Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow, I love it. I love all this training, and welcome another doctor in the house. Yes, and sharing. And doctor is a bishop and founder of Spring of Love Fellowship, various spiritual and humanitarian arms of service to humanity. Yes, and a humanity organization empowers, supports the liveliness of vulnerable individuals in society. And as I go through, I can see it's focusing on those vulnerable individuals. And I love this, foster parent to about 15 young people. Awesome. And he helps find solutions to complex problems through keep not but share. I love that. You know, honesty wins. Leadership mentor for the many generations. Meditation, you name it, and many projects giving back to the community to help feed those in economic for our families and villages, and many awards and food banks. And I can't wait to see from our doctor a reconciled community. And we're talking about our community. The virtual stage is yours. Just go.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Darlene. I hope I'm clear.
You're good. You're good. We got you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ali, my good friend. It's always a special, singular privilege to be invited in such a platform. I feel so humbled to be speaking after my great brothers and sisters whom I've known in a special way. My brother from Africa, Professor here, has just spoken powerful nuggets. Thank you so much, Professor, together with all my other friends who have already enriched us in their speeches and in their appeal. And I just want to take this opportunity. My speech is more of an invitation to appreciate diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. Honestly speaking, when my brother Alice requested me to be part of the speakers, I asked myself, what a topic I'm very passionate about this topic. In fact, the first thing that hit my very heart was that, God, this one is what is killing and tearing up Africa. Why are we perpetually divided? That was a question that came to me. Immediately, I read this topic of diversity, inclusion, community, and equity. Why are we perpetually divided? Why are we struggling? And the lesson that came so clearly in my mind was, if diversity is not well handled, and you will agree together with me, people, if diversity is not well handled, it becomes the source of every conflict and every frustration that comes our way. And that's why I celebrate this very topic as we make our voices heard. I've always had this dream of a reconciled community, and that's what I'm going to focus on. Look around everywhere you are. You will see a family that is crying, that is suffering. You will see a nation that is struggling to come together. So many policies intended to bring poverty out of their very state. But look at the reality. Even the good policies we are coming up with as nations, as organizations, are not eradicating the very poverty problem we have. What is the problem? And I think this topic will address such a kind of issues because I believe the level of depth into our diversity, into inclusion, into community, into equity will give us boldness, not just to speak out, but also to take the right action. We need to take the right action. And we can't take a right action in a polarized environment, in a polarized climate. People, I want you to understand the reality is that there is a quality life which ought to be appreciated by every human being. I subscribe to the philosophy that nobody is a nobody. And if that is the truth, you realize that diversity does not become a negative force and energy. The differences we share are no longer a negative energy. They become a beauty that we need to take advantage over. Diversity is actually a value if we interpret it clearly. Now, here in Africa, I'll just give my little experience in Africa because I'm an African. One of the things that is very common is the diversity issue. We are divided in aspects of tribalism, ethnicity. Actually, these are key things that we are experiencing almost everywhere in Africa, and they are tearing the continent if not handled properly. And I realize that the issue has to do with the definition and the perspective on diversity. You hear many people today say, well, I was forced to flee away from my people, my tribe, my country. I am a refugee here. Why? Because a certain given tribe, which is not my tribe, were fighting us. And therefore, I had to run for my life. We have these cases everywhere, all over, because of a misinterpreted diversity, because of taking diversity from a wrong perspective. But I'm here to challenge our philosophy on diversity, especially because I deal with young people in Courageous Conversation, which is a show and a program I run with young people. Most of them have expressed so strongly about these issues that touch diversity, inclusion, and community. Most of them have said, Dr. Juma, we are afraid to make it very bold to you that many projects that come up, either by government or by institution, they only use us as statistics, but we are clearly marginalized. We are politically excluded. We are not included. Our opinions do not count. We are socially excluded. Our opinions do not count. We are even religiously excluded. We are considered to be young people whose opinion do not count. Now, this is the reality. So I have always asked myself, where are the young people? Does it mean that whatever they have does not work for us? And this makes me come so strongly to say that when diversity is wrongly interpreted, we victimize our fellow human being. When diversity is not correctly interpreted, we are going to marginalize and make other people simply to become statistics, to come up with policies, to come up with programs. If at all it is a government coming up with programs which is intended to help these very needy people, but instead of helping these needy people, it actually deprives them. It works against them. The program intended to alleviate poverty becomes the very program which enriches those who are already rich. They are never included into the very, very good policy that we set up on paper. And that's why this topic, to me, I am passionate about it, because it brings us back to the really origin of humanity. God created us as a human family without really giving us a distinction that deprives one of the dignity. And I do believe this topic is a good, fertile ground for us to rethink about our dignity as human beings. We need a community. We do not need individualism. We are meant to live interdependently. We are meant to live in a community. And my definition of a community is a place where people can be human beings without feeling embarrassed. That's a community, whereby everybody feels a human being and is not embarrassed by reason of color, of age, of status, of class, of tribe. That is a community. And that's why I call upon reconciliation. We need the breakdown in families, the breakdown in nation, the breakdown in institution needs to be addressed. How can it be addressed if we are not going to have a reconciled community? A reconciled community means that we go back to the origin. Reconciliation unto God precedes the reconciliation for one another or each other. People, I want you to understand that all of us have dreams. Even that very inferior person, that very person you look down, has dreams as an aspiration. Nobody is absurd before our God or before our Creator. No, no, sir, no, madam. Every one of us has a dream, has an aspiration, which ought to be fulfilled in a certain given climate. I'm a civility ambassador and expert in this aspect, and I encourage people to engage respectively. It is this engagement that has respect that allows us to include even the people who do not share our very color, our very class. That is it. It is that aspect of civility, recognizing that everybody under the sun has value, and that value is needed for quality living. We need to be a community developers. That's my second emphasis. We need to be community developers. What do I mean by that? Every community has needs, but until we make the needs of the community our own needs, and I'm talking this as a leader, and to all leaders who may be listening to me, and all others who are leaders of their own life, because everyone, to me, I believe, is a leader. Until you are self-led, you can never lead anywhere. So I do believe you are a leader in your own portfolio. And you have to reach somewhere and realize that you have something for the community, and the community has needs. Now, until you reach somewhere where you make the needs of the community your own needs, then life will always become a second-hand kind of life, which is not palatable. We must invest in one another's life. That's what I mean by a reconciled community. We don't just want policies. We want reconciled policies. We have seen so many policies come in place, but policy never eradicate poverty. Policy will never deliver that particular need that somebody has until it is actionated with the right heart, with the right attitude, in the right climate. People, it is very important to operate as a reconciled community with reconciled values, with reconciled policies, policies that recognize one another's value. I want also to submit to us something very important. Let's identify areas of convergence. If we have to make diversity a positive force and a positive thing, let us identify areas of convergence. There are areas that we really need to converge and create synergy, not areas where we dissent, areas where we converge. I encourage us, let's develop the spirit of acceptance and welcoming, regardless of our status, regardless of our position and rank, and regardless of which kind of color we are. This is how a reconciled community come into being. As we continue listening from our speakers, we realize that our level of depth into diversity is enlarging. Our level of depth into the need of inclusion is enlarging. Our level of understanding on equity is enlarging. And this is going to make a community the right community, a community that now can enjoy growth, a community that can enjoy development, a community that can enjoy one another's presence. So in my summary, I want to say, as God's creation, we must all agree to live with differences, not as a source of, violence, but we live with differences as a source of fruitfulness, not as a deadly competition and rivaling platform. Our differences should be a source of fruitfulness, not a deadly negative force. Another point I want to leave with us in my submission is that since diversity is a social fact which can never be erased, then it is important that we celebrate it as a distinctive beauty and make it a source of connectivity, not an exclusion element. I come from Africa. There is this saying where we call wakwetu. Wakwetu in Africa has the connotation of our own person, our own tribe, our own man, a person coming from us, wakwetu. Now, instead of making this our wakwetu a limited, thing, we need to enlarge all that we feel belongs to us should belong to every one of us. Let's renounce every kind of artificial relationship, and we are going to enjoy a reconciled community. I am a believer in D.I.C.E. I am passionate about D.I.C.E. I believe D.I.C.E. is not just a voice of man, Ali, it's a voice of God to bring back the human family into what God originally intended.
Wow, awesome, awesome. Africa is so fortunate to have somebody with your knowledge, your leadership, and your interest in the community. I love what you had speaking out, and it's pretty sad when you think that your opinions do not count. That just shouldn't be, right? And people are afraid to speak out at times. And I love your definition of a community where everybody is equal. There's no discrimination. That's the way it should be. And investing in in our lives, that's so important. And as you said, you are one of the life leaders in community developments, right? Every community has its needs, and there are many social factors out there, and you continue to keep inspiring people and providing your guidance because the world needs it. Africa is blessed to have you, and we're blessed to have you on our stage today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darlene. Thank you, Ali.
All right. This is powerful. Yes, it is so powerful, Ali. In all these countries, to have these people standing up for what is right and in the community, we are one world with many different communities.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joma. That's a powerful message, as you can see from all the audience there. Like, it's really amazing. Dr. Great overview on the happening in Africa. I have also Joe. Don't let anyone smother your willpower. Dr. Joma Nation, your humanity is making an impact. Very inspiring message. We need those strong leader in Africa, brother. what you shared, Joma, and what Matthew shared, and what Prof. Renit shared, that's just powerful, and we need that because DICE together is just the key for change, and we need this type of conversation. Now we are coming back to Canada and to New Brunswick, St. John.
Ooh, we're going to St. John.
Brother Omar Morad, originally from Palestine, and he is in St. John, New Brunswick, and he is. Let's let you read his bio, my friend darling. Let's bring Morad Omar Morad. Sorry.
All right, we've got we still have two more speakers. Stay with us, folks. The messages are just coming, so more powerful. President of Union of Youth Newcomers, which is a youth program officer. Stories as a youth newcomer and looking at their cultures, and I think that's so important that the youth need to be invested in. And his topic, challenges I went through to be involved in the community. Can't wait to hear that. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. It's really amazing opportunity. It's my first time to have an international event and learn from different people in all the world. Thanks everyone to watching and to having me today. So as you know, like I came to Canada in 2018. So I'm just like when I told you about my best life. I born in Palestine, Gaza City, and I grew up in Syria, Damascus City. So as you know, what happened in Syria, I came to Canada as a refugee in October 2018. So when I came to Canada in October 2018, I came with no English, honestly. It was hard for me as a young guy. I was so excited to be like just to know more about my new country, my new city, how is the culture. I was like so excited to know more people, build my network. I had a lot of challenges because the English also is a different culture. As you know, when you are a newcomer to new country, you will have a culture shock for sure. So I had 3 months in the beginning. It was so hard for me to be involved in the community, and I don't know how to start and how to build my network. So I was studying English with YMCA. It's I believe international organization here in St. John. YMCA helping a newcomer to know, like, to teach them English and support them. So I was learning there, but also I was like during hard time to learn by myself and in my home by YouTube or anything. Another things, I joined the employment program. It's called Skills Lunch from MPMC in New Brunswick, New Brunswick Multicultural Council. So that helped me to see the good way to start building a network and know more people by volunteering. So in 2018 to 2019, I did more than 200 volunteers hour, and I was so happy to know more people and introduce myself with a little English that I had. But do you know what? Like, as I say, when I grew up in Syria, we have a close culture. I was like with Muslim community, Arab community, even like my dad, he was a businessman, but also the people who visit us, also from Arab countries like Egypt, Morocco, a lot. So we still like under Arab culture. I didn't have any people from different culture, like let's say China, Chinese, Japan's, or even like Canadian, American. So in the beginning, it was hard because, you know, when you introduce yourself, I mean, like every culture have different way to introduce yourself or talk. So sometimes like people see that you are weird, that when you introduce yourself, um, or sometimes you think about people, they are weird too. So then I recognize that every culture have their own way or own learn. I try to open my mind more, to be more device, to know more about the culture diversity, spend time with people not in my culture, just to learn from them, see what they are eating, how they say hi to each other, how they know each other, how like they starting some topic to each other. Um, so I start from that way. Honestly, it was hard for me, because I, as you know, like the English, it was hard, and the accent too. um, Everybody believe like what they born with. So today, or let's say after a year, I was nominated for champion culture diversity in a New Brunswick. um, and in 2020 I take award for champion diversity, also in New Brunswick. Today I trying to have my own organization for a youth newcomer to know each other, to know that sharing the culture make more diverse and accept all the people, doesn't matter for their religion, where they're from, or even what they sex is. So um, actually it was like, I don't know, it was really amazing experience. Now I can recognize that I learned a lot this 2 year and the past 2 year more than any friend or people who didn't go out, let's say from Syria, or people who just they just like have they culture, or they like in their mind. So that's all, guys. I don't want to be late or take time for another people. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I just want to express my feeling and my experience, how to be um, like more open mind, accept all the people. And another things I want to share, that I always have in my mind, that I'm ambassador, that I present my country as a Palestine, I present my religion as a Muslim, I present my parents, what they teach me, what they touch me, sorry. So if everybody have followed this way, it doesn't matter if you're in your office, in Facebook Live, or even if you walk in the street, you present a lot of things, people can always watch you. So just try to be nice, good, and I believe a lot of people do. So thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really amazing. Thanks for Ali and Erlen, and thank you so much.
Well, Omar, thank you. And we appreciate you for sharing your experiences. And by the way, your English is very good. So
Trying.
no, you're doing very good with that. You know, I think it's awesome for us to understand what the challenges for newcomers to our country. You know, just what we eat, the different cultures, and I love the fact that you've been identified as a leader to help other people. You've paved the way, and we know it has not been easy, but the determination and everything else, and you know, the community to stand behind and support you. I think that's awesome. Don't give up. You're a leader. You're part of the D.I.C.E community, and you have more people to impact their lives as they come to Canada.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you so much.
Omar. I appreciate your dicing with us together, because that's being brave and courageous. When I see Omar, I said, "Okay, you want to be part of this international summit," and he didn't hesitate. He said, "Yes, I want to be part of it," and that just show like you see your determination, your courage, and you are doing it in New Brunswick. You are coming, and you said the language, your English is very good. You're speaking good English, and you are leader. You are a leader. So, and as Reem here sharing, uh, being intentional in learning is the key to success. And you are intentional, my friend. Keep up the good work and keep spreading your light and awesomeness. And we're proud of you, brother.
Thank you so much. I also learn it from people like you and all the guest speaker here. That really improved in me a lot when I saw another countries and other people, what they know about diversity, what the diversity mean. So thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And let's play a little video here, my friend Darlene. Like, especially with we don't have this brother with us today in the summit, but we will use One Love. You remember that song we were dancing to?
I do. We were dancing away, and you know what?
Yeah,
We
let's
danced again.
bring it. He is with us here with his song, with his spirit.
No more pain, no more worries. Make we stay together. Hey. I believe we can make this world bigger. There is power and ability. We believe we can make this world bigger. Better place. Oh yeah. We forget different colors, but in love we see ourselves as one. We are strong if we united, but we are weak if we divided. Where there is unity, there is victory. Even the wicked get the power in their unity. If we must prosper, we need each other, so you and me can make the world a better place. All we need is one love, one love, one love. The kind of love from above, above, above. God has made us as one, as one, as one. There'll be no more pain, no more worries. Make we stay together. Hey. I believe if we try, we can make our world. Oh yes, we can do it. If we believe, we can make our world a better place. I can see the future in your eyes.
One Love.
One Love.
Oh,
I love that. That is such
Love
a
that song.
powerful, powerful video. So
And it's what's our brothers shared, and everyone shared. All those amazing speakers shared. Like, we need one love. We need to be together. We need to be sharing, inspiring, and moving forward. We don't want any more division. We don't want any more separation. We don't want any more hate, ignorance, and separation. And you know what happened when there is hate and there is stuff? There is poverty and there is stuff. And
Tonight, the world will sleep, but hunger will not wait for promises we made. La, la,
Sisi binadamu, wa roho moja sisi binadamu, wa nchi moja sisi binadamu, wa kanisa moja, wa roho moja, nchi moja, sisi binadamu, wa roho moja sisi binadamu.
no more.
oops. So we don't want that. We don't want any more poverty. We don't want any more separation. We just want the world to come together, and each one take your crayon, your colorful crayon, your unique crayon, and let's paint this diverse canvas. Do you have your crayon already, darling?
I do. I love coloring.
Which color did you choose? I'm choosing the red, the color of love.
The color of love. Well, today it's purple day, so I'm
Okay.
choosing purple.
All right, let's paint it. Let's paint the canvas.
Let's paint it.
Wow, what an amazing, colorful, beautiful canvas we have. Africa, Canada, Palestine, everywhere.
United States, you got it.
United States,
Yep.
and just Haiti, everywhere, everywhere, my friend. And that's what we want. We just want to inspire a positive change in the world through conversation. We don't want diversity to be that hot, scary topic that everyone running away from. Just be simple. Diversity is a fact. Inclusion is the choice. We have to choose to accept people for who they are. We have to welcome them, make them recognized, make them respected, and just listen. That's all. Just listen to them. Let them be who they are.
Precisely. It seems so simple, but yet it's so hard. And not people not being heard. So powerful, powerful speakers today, impacting so many people over the world, right? And it's so great, Ali, that you give them this international platform to be able to share their messages, because more people need to hear these messages on a regular basis. There's
100%.
too much negativity and division out there.
And I just want to on this platform, darling, your energy is contagious, and you just bringing so much joy to all Find Your Voice Summit, and you making everyone feel comfortable, you making everyone speak their mind, and everyone just thanking you like, darling, like it's Ali and darling, you are phenomenal. And everyone just like it's the speaker. Thanks, Ali and Darlene from Reem, and also we have from our friend Joe. Thanks, Ali and Darlene. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're waiting for our sister Justina, and they think maybe some problem with connection. So maybe we can give it another minute, and if not, we can just I think conclude this wonderful summit. And I'm glad like people really enjoyed it, and everyone shared their topic, and the message go across. That's what we want.
Very much so. And it was interesting on how, all of the speakers just seemed to flow one to the other. A lot of, connecting the different experiences that everybody had from all the different cultures and different backgrounds when it comes down to the basics in life, right? Love, respect, we are geniuses. We need to stand up, have a voice, right? Those are so important. And it's always fun to hang out with you, Ali, and to meet all these wonderful people that you know all over the world. I appreciate the fact of you trusting me again with your microphone, and which is cool, and always a challenge. But
Always a challenge, but you make it work, my friend. You always like you make it.
so yeah, which is great. I think Ali's one of his kids. Daddy, Daddy, are you done?
No, I think
Daddy,
it's. I think that time is up. My son, I think it said somebody. Okay, so I
oh, you just went on mute again, Ali. Ah, just love that the canvas is being painted, and you out there too. Hey, we've had 12 fantastic speakers today. What were some of the impacts that you made? Some of the messages, and how are you going to help carry this message, right? As we all find our voice and help carry the message into the communities and do your part to be productive.
100%. And a lot of people wonder, what can I do? What can I do to make action? Can I do to make a change? The change you can do, just share or initiate a conversation with someone. Be open, speak up. If you see someone different than you, initiate it and tell them, I like you for who you are. I accept you for who you are, because that's how we grow. And the change starts with me, start with you, darling. Just your smile, that's a big change making in people's life. And that's what we need. And honestly, God, as what happened the other day and you're aware what happened in London the other day, just like because of different, and that's not like it can happen anywhere in the world, not just in Canada. And it is just like ignorance, it's misinformation that people have that image about Muslim or about different people, and that can create some tension. Let's educate people and get to know us, don't hate us.
Precisely. Everybody is wonderful people, and I am so blessed to know you, my friend, and to be part of your world. And I just admire you stepping up with so many different platforms that you've allowed people to share their messages, and you have so much more sharing to give. Just think, he was just driving a cab at one time. Now he has the world platforms.
Thank you very much, my friend. And let's finish with this video. I don't think people see it from the beginning, like what is equity mean or quality mean. And this is, let's share this quickly.
Getting grape and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets...
Now that was just a sample video that I relate to, like a human being too. Like when we are given the same task and we are getting the crappy reward, the result. Imagine it takes like the animal, the monkey. They were doing the same task, and you at the beginning getting cucumber, and the second time they were doing the same task, and one getting the grape, and the other one get the cucumber, and he throw it. Imagine what will be your reaction when you feel you are not treated fairly, when you are feeling like it's not equal, even you are doing the same job. The only thing is just you're not going to access to the same resources, to the same tools, or to access to what's going on. So, my friend, the last word. I don't think there may be some issue for the other speaker. We would love to have Dr. Justina, but I think must be some issue with the connection or something. Last word, my friend, and I think we will close this amazing summit.
Well, thank you. It's been awesome. Hey, continue on the great work. We've had some great messages. I love that. By the way, that video with the monkeys, I just love that. I've seen it a couple of times, and I'm still like, it just amazes you, right? But it takes it so simple.
Oh, we have Dr. Justina joining us now.
Oh,
here we are, and let's. I think we are. The plane is going back to UK.
All right. We haven't been there yet today, so I think that's
no.
Awesome.
Let's bring Dr. Justina Motal.
All right, she's going to be talking about the philosophy of oneness, right? Influential and inspirational African woman, right? Global impact, visionary leader, served on I don't know how many different boards, advocate for gender equalities, empowering women. And she's on, I don't know how many different lists. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 of the top 100s. Fantastic. And the philosophy of one. Thank you for joining us. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, darling, and thank you, Ali, and congratulations to all the speakers that have spoken just before me. This is an important topic that is right at my heart. As being a gender activist and, of course, being an immigrant and being a humanitarian and all that comes together. So
we are not going to be here. I said we need Dr. Justina to finish this because she is so powerful. Let's finish the summit with the powerful speech.
Yeah, so the issue of diversity, inclusion, and equality or equity is very important and very high on the global agenda. Nowadays, you know, when you walk into any organization or any place that you go into, you will find that they have a diversity and inclusion strategy as part of that organization's policies. However, when you look deeper, you find that the opposite stares you right in the face. You will find that we still have a lot of organizations that do not have women, especially at senior level, and many more organizations that do not have people of certain ethnicities, people of color, for example, in those senior positions. You also find that women, as well as most people of color or ethnic minorities, are systematically discriminated against. But this is done through a system that is built on institutional discrimination. Sometimes it's difficult to see, but most of the time it's there to see. It is also, I find it very disappointing to see that at a time when humans pride themselves on being civilized and highly developed in our thinking, we can still continue to live in times in which we lack diversity, inclusion, equality, and equity. We lack the spirit of oneness. We don't live as one human family. At a time when we should embrace our humanity as one, we find ourselves with movements like the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, Asian Lives Matter movement, and all kinds of separateness. Each time you switch on the television, read the newspaper, read a blog, you see all this separateness being thrown in your face. Separateness is being highlighted in everywhere you go around the world. Everywhere you turn and look, there's separateness. And ironically, this is a time when the world keeps talking about diversity and inclusion. But when it comes to diversity and inclusion in terms, for example, of gender parity, you can see that we are still very far from achieving a diverse, equitable, and inclusive world that fully includes women and girls on equal footing as their male counterparts. As things currently stand, many studies have shown that girls are still lagging far behind boys in access to education and loads of other areas of human development. As in leadership, so far there are only about 25 women CEOs out of the 500 biggest companies in the world. We only have an average of about 19% women in parliament or political decision making, so to speak, with only so far about 7% women heads of state or heads of government in the world, in a world that has about 193 countries together as members of the United Nations. And in most companies, you'll find that you have 0 women and 0 ethnic minorities or people of color on their board. And yet we keep talking about diversity and inclusion. Women and girls form 51% of the world population. We therefore need to understand the importance of including women and girls in all decision-making tables to ensure that both genders have a voice and their perspectives are heard and are taken into account in decision and policy making. This is because different genders bring different experiences to the table, and so do people from diverse backgrounds and diverse ethnicities. Limiting a business or an organization to one group of people who have the same experiences in life, who think the same way, who believe in the same things in life, who went to the same schools and went to the same universities, takes away the creativity, the innovation, and the diversity of thought and diversity of perspective that is required in the operations of a business, an organization, or even the world for its progress and success. A world that operates on half its human capital, half its economic potential, and half its talents is one that is definitely bound to fail. That is why we see the world running on negative now. Because the world is actually diverse for a reason. This is because as humans, we have to complement one another. And that is why the world is created in the way that it is created, with all this diversity that we have but are not putting into good use. We ought to embrace the world in its full diversity in all our activities, because focusing on one gender or even one group of people or one race totally takes away the potential for growth in such a diversified world. Providing equal opportunities builds better families and communities, thereby creating a truly representative and an equitable world society. When women and girls go unheard, when marginalized groups of people go unheard, not only are the interests of those groups underrepresented, but also their valuable skills, their resilience and knowledge totally go unused. The lack of diversity, inclusion, and equity, and the idea that we are different and separate from one another, from other people, has caused the world to venture into unnecessary suffering, unnecessary wars, which have led to the violation of human rights and, of course, the persecution of people who we consider to be different from ourselves. It is common to see these days on television, in newspapers, magazines, blogs, or cyberspace or the internet, that humans are persecuting other humans. Humans are killing other humans for the simple reason of being of a different color, a different skin color, a different gender, for being a different race, for having a different religious belief, for having different sexual orientation, for being an immigrant, or just simply for being different from the person next door. In Africa, we believe in the spirit of Ubuntu. This is a philosophy that offers us an understanding of ourselves in relation to the world. In the philosophy of Ubuntu, we believe that a person is a person through other persons, and that there exists a common bond between us all. The philosophy of Ubuntu teaches us wholeness and compassion, which provides a proper self-assurance that comes from knowing that as humans, we all belong to one greater whole. In the philosophy of Ubuntu, the idea of a global human family is one of the building blocks of society, and it is the nebulous concept of common humanity and oneness. In the philosophy of Ubuntu, therefore, we believe that I am because you are. This myth of other than me or them against us has been, as I said before, has been responsible for all forms and expressions of human injustice. After all, who in their right mind would harm another person if they experience that person as part of themselves? So the philosophy of Ubuntu is based on the golden rule of doing unto others what you would want them to do unto you. This golden rule applies in all the religions of the world. Therefore, if we can teach the golden rule and operate with the spirit of Ubuntu, with civility, emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion, and humility as our way of life, only then can we turn the tide. Only then can we turn the world to go in the right direction. The world would be much, much better, a much better place if we could create a genuine global human family that has shared responsibilities, shared benefits, shared values, regardless of gender, race, creed, skin color, religious belief, or sexual orientation. If we can instill the spirit of oneness and become one true global human family filled with love, peace, harmony, and compassion and unity, only then will we see a world that can fully enjoy the magic that true diversity, inclusion, and equality can bring. For the world to experience the divine magic that is currently missing in a segregated and artificially divided world. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to end this beautiful summit. We're glad that you were able to join us here. You know, standing up for so many people, it's so wonderful. And, you know, for women and all over, no wonder you're on the 100 list for I don't know how many different organizations. I think that's so awesome. Great. You know, we are all one, but together, that's what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference. And, you know, it's so, Africa is so fortunate to have so many people like you who is spreading that positive message, right? because and your work's not done. You're just starting. You've got more work and more impact and more women to affect in their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Justina, for joining us. That's an amazing way to finish the summit. Where are you from originally, Justina? Like you mentioned, you're immigrant.
I'm from Zambia, but I live in and work in London.
Oh, Zambia, nice. Well, I have a lot of powerful leader from Africa. We have Dr. Juma, we have Dr. Matthias, we have all the speakers were like amazing. But I really was inspired what you shared, my friend, there, because diversity is something that's going on. Like we don't need to focus on. Let's stop talking about diversity and start working toward equity. That's what we want.
Exactly. Yes.
We want to verbalize. A lot of people say, I care about diversity. I value diversity, but we need to verbalize it. We need to make it measurable. We need to make it like time bound. Like when Kennedy, the President Kennedy, when he said, he didn't say, I care about going to the space. He said, I choose to go to space in 7 years.
Yes.
So verbalizing that, we need diversity to be action. Like by measurement, like in 3 years, we want 50% of gender or racial to be in the executive team. Something like that. We want it to be verbalized, measured, and be in action. So
we wanted more than verbalized and measured and all of that. We wanted to see it. We want to see it happening. We want to see when you walk into an organization, you see that it's a truly diverse, or they have truly diverse workforce or members of staff, a true representation of the world, not just one group of people or one ethnicity. It has to be all diverse. So it has to be in place where we can see it. You can see it as you walk around, not just to see around all these policy papers that say we believe we have a strategy for diverse and inclusion. And when you look around, none of that is there. Now, for example, I, as a woman, also a woman of color and an immigrant, so this lack of diversity and inclusion impacts on a person like me in so many different ways. I'm excluded because I'm an immigrant. I'm excluded because I'm a woman. I'm also sometimes excluded because I'm a single mother. Then you're also, excluded because of your skin color on so many different levels. You just keep being excluded. So all the goodness that you can bring into the world, that diversity of thought and diversity of perspective that you can bring to the world in order for the policies that are made to be impactful.
Prof. Vernet, are you with us, brother?
World do not happen.
Yeah, so I was just asking if Prof. Vernet is with us. He can give his input too before I think we close that. We're just having almost like finishing up with conversation. I think we should go to Google, and instead of looking find diversity, replace it with equity.
Yes.
Absolutely. Learning how to make sure that civility is portioned properly. Because as we look at everything, and thank you so much, Dr. Justina, for bringing such a positive impact and helping people to what I would like to call peel the onion back when we talk about diversity. There is so many different facets of it that we are not actually seeing. So I am super excited for what the world is going to see through people like yourselves who are sharing this message and showing how the world can be a better place. And it simply starts with the individual. It starts with the mindset. It starts with the heart to want to see people do well. So I salute each and every one of you. Thank you so much for this platform, bringing all of the family together to speak from all around the globe. How important is it in this day and age to hear the voices and see the faces of the people who are making an impact around the globe? So I salute each and every one of you. Blessings.
Thank you very much. We will keep this conversation going on, and we will have more live in the future, just to have everyone perspective. So I don't want to keep everyone's, I know, been 3 hours, 53 minutes. the MC and everyone. They did really a good job. Thank you very much, Prof. Vernet. You have a powerful speech. Dr. Justina, thank you for joining. Thank you, everyone. Dr. Sonia, Dr. BT, everybody did a really good job. Appreciate you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
All right. Blessings to you all.
So much.
Blessings to you all, and share all your messages. Continue to make that impact and promote the D.I.C.E.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Lena.
All right.
Have
Take
a
care,
wonderful-
everybody.
Thank you, Ella. Take care. I'll just finish with this music, and we are all done.